There's no honor among thieves in the first place. He put hard times on Dusty Rhodes and his family. Hard times are when the textile workers around this country are out of work and got 4 or 5 kids and can't pay their wages, can't buy their food. Hard times.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
Woo! I tore them all down.
And I came here for one reason. To attack and keep coming.
I did it for the rock.
You will rest in peace.
I asked you 1,000,000 times to join the NWO, or you would be born.
Lie! Shut your mouth, you thong-wearing fatty!
Bang. And what you gonna do when Hulkamania run wild on you?
And that's the bottom line, cause Stone Cold said so.
Yeah! Fire! I won't ride in nothing but limousines, and I won't make love to nothing but the best of the women in the world.
You don't know what hard times are, Daddy.
You will know that your ass is mine.
Bang.
The best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. You got a championship belt? I don't.
That's right, I'm a Paul Heyman guy.
When Ric Flair's in town, showtime! Woo!
Sweet!
My belly's just a little big, my honey's just a little big, but brother, I am bad and they know I'm bad.
Beat me if you can survive if I let you.
Orderly! Woo! It is Rolex time!
Quote the Raven.
You just made the list!
Who's you beat, brother?
Did you dig that? Sucker! I am the game! The whole show.
If I can be serious for a minute.
You son of a bitch! Brock Lesnar! Damn!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
Oh, you didn't know? I mean, you're the Donald Trump of wrestling. You make Steven Spielberg look like a guy running 8mm films in a garage someplace. Will you stop?
You don't want to recognize my belt, huh? You don't recognize my belt. I think you're a liar. I think you're a flat out, straight up, lying, crying bitch.
Thank you, movement.
But I wanna know for sure. Every time I kiss you, I taste what other men have for lunch. The only thing that gets you off is to see me in pain, and I think I love you. You never
Oh. Well, we're late. We made it. We really appreciate everybody that hung out in the chat room for that hour and 20 minutes or so. We got it. Finally, I believe. Thank you for, like I said, thanks a lot, guys. This is Dirt Sheet Dudes. It is Friday. We are finally here. Anthony, Smark, how are you guys? Thank you for hanging with me.
Hey, doing good. Doing good. You okay, sir?
I'm better now.
We saw the rage in your eyes. We saw the rage.
I'm okay now. We're on air. There's still something wrong, but I got us all going through the mixer, so I'll redo it all tomorrow. I might actually take this opportunity to get this other faster computer as this computer. So we'll see what's going on. Smart, how's it over there, buddy?
It is A-OK. I'm glad everybody persevered. It was quite the saga, but yeah, I think everything is going to be okay.
Yeah, I think so too. So we are all good here. Yes, by the way, that song was Sam Kinison. 28 years ago today, April 10th, 1992, we lost the great, the legendary Sam Kinison, and he is one comic that I will always miss. just grew up listening to him, and I wasn't supposed to. So, it's always the things you're not supposed to do that you do, and really stuck with me. So Sam Kinison, 10 years, April 10th, 28 years ago. Fucking doesn't seem that long, man. Either one of you guys Kinison fans?
He did he had a really cool appearance on an episode, actually a 2-part episode of Married with Children.
Yes, he did.
It was a Christmas episode. A Very Wonderful Life or something like that.
Something like that. Smart.
Yeah, I enjoyed him for the most part. Kind of in relation to what you were saying. You listened to him when you were younger because it was like you're not supposed to listen to him. He was the comedian you weren't supposed to listen to. Mm-hmm. The one that was like that for me when I was coming up or when I was growing up was Andrew Dice Clay.
Yeah.
and I had heard him, I had heard radio ads talking about how controversial he is and how they can't even play his bits on the commercial. And this is 97, 98, they're playing Marilyn Manson on the radio, and all these songs are about murder and people being beheaded. All these movies and TV shows are super violent, and I was like, man, if they can't even let this guy talk, how fucking crazy controversial is he? I was a little bit let down by this hype, but I kind of understood what they were talking about later on in life.
Yeah, and that was a little feud, was Dice Clay and Sam Kinison. I was one that was a fan of both. I believe a lot of people back then actually were. I think their feud was basically between them only. And again, it was that raunchy comedy back in those days that really made it. And I'll go ahead and say it. Eddie Murphy, I believe, was the he really led in a lot of that dirty comedy. And of course, Richard Pryor and a lot of those guys. But during that time, Eddie Murphy led it. And those two guys just really, though, were a little even raunchier than Eddie Murphy, I would say.
I do. That's like a favorite kid situation for you, Box, trying to pick between those two. You never picked a side.
Nah, never, man, never picked a side. But I do have a couple Kinison clips. Maybe we'll play them if we have time. Now that we're a fucking hour and a half late. But to be honest with you, we have more news to get into tonight. I really don't have a lot to get into on either NXT or SmackDown. SmackDown, talk about fucking once again non-essential. Jesus Christ, that show could have fucking. Oh,
that show needs to be quarantined.
That show could be quarantined, exactly.
Well, how about this? We'll breeze through that. Both the NXT and the SmackDown. Just stick to the highlights.
Yep.
But real quick, we can tie a little bit of news to SmackDown tonight.
Absolutely, we will. Real quick though, we gotta get the plugs out of the way. Gotta knock them out. I'll knock them out.
Got the plugs, man. Gotta get those plugs in.
Well, let's knock them out. Let's knock him out real quick. I know Wrestling OD has been in the chat room a long time, and I definitely appreciated Shaheen. You know what it's like to have technical issues. You know what we're talking about over here. Definitely check out Wrestling OD. Check out his Patreon, patreon.com/Wrestling Overdose. Check him out at nuclearheatshop.com, chairshottees.com, and clothesline with a D, media.com. I got it right this time, I think. And definitely check out the High Marks, Cheeseman, Mojo, and G-Wiz. Great guys over there. And of course, Bobby Anthem and Bobby Blades on the Inhuman Experience. Definitely check out those guys. Been a little more Bobby Blades than Bobby Anthem, but we know Bobby Anthem's going to come back. He can't stay away long. Every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in. So there we go. And Unscripted Wrestling Podcast, Eric, Doug, Daniel, check out those guys over there. And of course, definitely go to letterboxd.boxd.com/Stephen Milan, 2 L's in Milan. Definitely check out his movie reviews over there. And, of course, all the shows I just mentioned. Subscribe, rate, review. And Hollywood Hangout may be returning once again this Sunday. Guys, I don't know if you want to do one. But I'm down. I'm back working from home again. And there you go. And you can follow all those shows on Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, Player FM, anywhere else you get your podcast. Anthony, let it rip.
The Bottom Line Pro Wrestling Podcast. Jason Clark, available on all fine podcast platforms, Google Play, Stitcher, iHeart, and wherever you get your podcasts. Download, subscribe, share, review. It works, do it.
There we go. All right. And Shaheen did not correct me, which means I obviously got his website correct. Thank you. Anyway, all right. That's it. Now we can get to the wrestling. You guys want to start just get into the NXT thing? Because I guess we can get into that. Did not. Now listen, I heard the women's ladder match was really good. I didn't see it. I will watch it, but I did not have time today. Guys, you want to talk about it though? Go for it. You're not going to ruin it for me. Go ahead.
It was a good match. A lot of nutty bumps. All 6 women worked hard. You had Io Shirai, you had Mia Yim, you had Candice LeRae, you had Tegan Knox, you had Dakota Kai. It's one of those matches where you really have to see it for yourself. Like I said, the work rate was there, effort was there. Io Shirai won. She's going to be Charlotte's first opponent for the women's title. I'm not sure when that's going to be. I think they said it's going to be in a couple weeks. The whole, once again, dude, like the bumps they were taking in front of nobody, uncomfortable to watch at certain points. Like I said, I appreciate the effort as a fan, but just being like, just from the human side, I was just like, ugh. Please, just
wow.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's just like, it's like, what the fuck you got these women doing? And you compound that by the fact that, yeah, I know they're wrestlers, they're trained, they know what they're doing out there, but you still got a bunch of women taking bumps on ladders, so that can be uncomfortable to watch at certain points.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Smart. Did you get to see that match?
I sure did, pal. Let me tell you, there was ladders all over the place. People were being hit with ladders. People were jumping off ladders. Like Anthony said, it was a ladderific ladder match that I absolutely did see, and I'm not making shit up about.
All right. Well, I guess that's a good thing, I think. Awesome.
And this is more of a incentive for you to watch box. A lot of bouncy when they jump off the ladder. Cool shit.
Yeah, I'll definitely watch for that. That sounds very good. I will.
Mia Yams and Io Shirai in particular.
Mia Yams. I heard that. I caught that.
Yams.
I caught that. Got a yam. Fucking yam bags. But anyway, all right. But I did see the main event, which was 40 minutes of the show. On Hulu, it was 40 minutes, put it that way. That had to have taken up the second hour of the show, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Once again, another match that was very much divisive online.
You know, all right. I'll go ahead and throw my my little opinion in there. It wasn't as cinematic as I had heard. Everyone's like, it was shot like a fucking movie. No, it wasn't. Not really. It was shot a little cinematic, I will agree, but every bit of it was fucking great. Do people not just give the match a few minutes and be like, all right, that match told one hell of a story. The ending might have been a little awkward, even a little unnecessary, but I thought the match itself was good. I thought it was shot great. I thought the way they did things was really good. I mean, these guys went in the ring. They tore up the ring. They went outside. They fought on top of a truck. And by the way, that is nothing but a piece of 1/4-inch fucking sheet metal on the top of those trucks. You could easily go right through there. Trust me, I've gone through the top of a truck. It doesn't feel good. But, okay, 48 minutes was that match. Thank you, Antox. But I thought the match was great. I thought they told a great story. I love the way it was shot. I love the production. To me, that's what a great fucking wrestling match should be, especially when you have an empty arena and you've got the chance to play with it. But I didn't find it too overproduced. I liked when they were in the ring, they just shot it with the really bright light behind them, so you just kind of were blinded. Like you were blinded, the audience wasn't there. I thought that was great. I thought that was a great way to shoot the match. Outside was great. And at the end there, we got a little view of Killer Cross and Scarlett Bordeaux.
Yeah, I mean, at certain points, I felt like this match was directed by Hype Williams with some of those jump cuts. No, I enjoyed the match. The only thing, and it's just like a little nitpick on my end, that I felt hurt it were the commercial breaks. It kind of broke up the momentum of it. Especially when they would come back from commercial break, you literally would see like it's almost like they were holding off until they got back from commercial to kind of get back into the action. So I felt like that kind of hurt, that kind of broke up the momentum that the match had going. Other than that, though, I felt like it was a fitting finale to the feud that they had going. Only thing that kind of confused me though was the ending. So is Candice LeRae a heel now? That to me felt like a little bit tacked on.
I would assume she is a heel with her boyfriend or husband. Boyfriend?
Husband.
I would assume she's a heel with her husband now. That, I mean, I would assume. And by the way, horrible kick to the nuts. That was like a shot to the butt cheeks that she did. But like I said, the ending, maybe even unnecessary is probably a good word for it. But especially in that kind of a feud where it's supposed to be the last beat, the last feud. But I still thought it was great. I mean, I'm not going to let that little bit of the match fuck up what I saw before. Put it that way.
Now, and I'm going to throw this to Smart too, but Box, since you just kind of gave your opinion on it, let me ask you guys something. Did it hurt the flow of the match for you that the dynamic was totally switched with Gargano as the heel and Ciampa as the face?
Go ahead, Smart.
I mean, I don't really think so. In my opinion, it felt normal. I could buy both men in both roles, so it didn't really feel like too big of a juxtaposition.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think the switch over there did any problem at all to the match. I think, and you know what? I hate Ciampa with the gray beard and everything. Kind of just looks like your ripped grandpa trying to fight. Everyone wants to love that guy. Doesn't he?
I will say, kudos, commitment to the gimmick. You know the little when he gives himself like a little standing ovation, pats himself on the back, and that's a great spot when there's people in the crowd. But I was like, when he just clapped, I was like waiting for Drake Younger to just somebody clap for this man, because that was the only thing that kind of like threw me off a little bit.
Yeah. I'll tell you the part in the whole match that made me laugh was Triple H. Right in the beginning, Triple H sitting in the corner like it's the most serious thing he's ever dealt with in his whole life. And when I walk out that door, it's on. And then he gives a quick look back. It was Triple H, unnecessary again. But again, I'm not gonna let. I didn't let that spoil the match, because once the match started, it was fucking great. I got to tell you, my 6-year-old was watching that match with me and loved every minute of it. He kept asking me questions. Why did they do that? Why did they do that? That was awesome. Why did they do that? I'm like, oh my God, to be 6 again and watching wrestling must be amazing, especially watching a match like that.
Yeah. Both guys, I feel like, this feud's been like 2.5 years in the making. Easily, not just in NXT, I would just say probably the best feud on a consistent basis in WWE over the past, maybe 5-10 years?
Probably.
In terms of like content, in terms of character development, story arc, the matches, I mean, name me a match that these two had that was bad. You can't.
No, you can't, man. Fucking just amazing between all of these guys. 3.5 years, Antox is saying this has lasted. So, and I mean, and I believe that's just in NXT, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow, that long. Jesus, time is flying. 3.5 years.
Yeah, and like I said, I think that's just NXT, but I just thought this match told a great story the whole way through. And, I kept saying those words, and my son kept asking me, what do you mean by story? I had to actually teach my son about ring psychology, which try to teach a 6-year-old that.
Oh, God. Box, you're a natural booker.
Like, all right, it's time to run the ropes, kid.
There you go. Let's put a ring in the backyard right now. Let's go. Come on.
Tuck your chin.
There you go.
Always tuck your chin.
Tuck your chin. Throw those arms out. Let that fat part of the arm hit. But I don't know, man. To me, this was just a really good match. And listen, NXT won by 1,000 viewers this week. They should be ecstatic.
Yeah.
It's really weird that it actually fell on an even number for both sides. What are the odds that exactly both companies would get a number that ends in 00?
Yeah, man. But, and listen, let me see. What were those exact numbers? Give me 1 second here. I actually have them up here somewhere. I thought NXT barely beats Dynamite. Let's see. It was AEW did 692 and WWE did 693,000. So 1,000 viewers is what they were split by. I got to tell you, I'd call that even. I got to be honest. I'd call that even. You know why? They don't know right now how many people are actually watching on Hulu, how many people are watching AEW back on DVR, how many people are literally just watching repeats of AEW because they do have them, and how many people are jumping on the network and watching NXT too. So I would just call it, I maybe we should just stop even bothering with the fucking ratings coming out on Wednesdays, because really these numbers are great, but we really don't know after these numbers come out who else is watching. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, no, all I want, can we just stop calling this a war, please? This is a fucking pillow fight.
It's a scuffle. It's a shoving match. It's a shoving match. That's what it is.
A skirmish, a tiff.
You're slap fighting. That's what you're doing. You're just yeah.
Now, do you I mean, obviously, not what's going on with the world with standing. Do you think that this is the bottom? Do you think that this is far as either show will go? Have they reached their break even point, or could they go lower possibly? Because
you can always go lower, unfortunately. But probably, listen, man, it's just, there's so many other things to worry about right now except for fucking wrestling. And like I said, a lot of people are going to watch that back. AEW has umpteen replays from do they still, by the way? I think they still have at least 3 or 4 replays, right?
Probably. I mean, I know they definitely iced out the immediate replay that they used to do on TNT. I mean, I think we all kind of agreed that wasn't going to last long. That was just to kind of get them off the ground. But yeah. TNT wasn't going to give them that type of that cachet that they gave Nitro back in the day with that immediate replay.
Yeah. I don't know what the fuck happened there, but and I'm glad they stopped, because it was kind of ridiculous. You're like, my God, I just fucking saw this, but I don't know. I mean, we just don't know. And really, it's not a war anymore. They're just, AEW technically wins, but NXT still has Hulu. NXT still has the network. And so you really don't know. NXT technically probably, if you went 3 or 4 days after, NXT might technically really win with the network and everything. Who knows? And especially Hulu numbers. So I don't know, but I don't know. What else we got on NXT there, guys?
That was pretty much it. I mean, a note to talk about. Nothing really. Nothing else caught my eye. A lot of hype packages. A lot of. They did do a great little backstage interview with Charlotte and Rhea, where you actually got the humble version of Charlotte. Like, yeah, I'm one. You don't need to thank me. You don't need to ask me any questions. She was actually humble and more subdued in this one, and actually gave Rhea some props. And Rhea was kind of like, on her interview, almost like on the verge of tears, like, wow, she is pretty good. And then they just kind of cut to the next segment.
Oh, of course. So Rhea Ripley not in Australia?
As of now, no. So okay. Who knows with that?
Dude, I don't even think she can get into Australia right now. I really don't, dude. I don't think people can go places right now. Fucking ridiculous. But obviously she's not. She's still there. I think I really think they're going to move her up. I think that's why they might have taken the title off of Rhea. I think they're going to move her up soon.
Oh, I misspoke. They did a little backstage interview with Adam Cole. So it looks like the plan at some point is going to be to have the Velveteen Dream challenge him for the belt. Do you think he's going to be the one to end the streak?
Go ahead, Smart.
You know, originally I would say no, because that was what it was announced for. It was announced for TakeOver. That was one of the TakeOver matches that they announced, that they ended up obviously canceling the TakeOver. And if it would have happened as it was booked and announced, I would have said no. But they just won the Wednesday ratings battle. So I wouldn't be surprised if they, well, I mean, I guess they already recorded it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they came at it from a standpoint of it being an opportunity now that it's on their weekly TV show and not just streaming on the network to potentially kind of pop people and get ratings by having the title change hands.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. I can't even add to it. That was perfect.
Yeah. I mean, actually, I was thinking along the same lines because I'm like, plus it's just like, it feels like he's basically wrestled everybody in some form.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, if he runs through Dream, then it's just like, only other person on the horizon is Keith Lee, and I don't think they're ready to put the belt on him just yet.
Yeah. So, yeah. That'll be a good match, though. I mean, it definitely will be a fucking good match, so definitely want to check that one out right there. And let's see. Honestly, guys, what do you really have from SmackDown? Like, seriously.
Let me just read you the news, because I feel like the news is more interesting than actual SmackDown.
Perfect.
All right, so this is courtesy of our friends at Pro Wrestling Sheet. So Pro Wrestling Sheet is reporting that WWE only filmed SmackDown tonight and have canceled all tapings for tomorrow. That's because starting next week, WWE will go back to filming their shows live. Fightful was told that a very aggressive, quote-unquote, Vince McMahon made the decision, and many on the talent roster are very unhappy about it. He was at the Friday SmackDown. Some of the WWE tapings were given a letter in case they were questioned by law enforcement stating that they are, quote, essential media. I love it. So yeah, that's where we're at with WWE right now. So we're getting some of that old school Irish stubbornness from Vinnie Mac. Essential media, I love it.
Wow, where?
Yeah.
I'm not even sure where to go with this right now.
That's a mouthful, ain't it?
That's fucked up, is what it is. I mean, we were on Wednesday and talking about how AEW has stopped production for now. And
yeah, they taped like over a month worth of material to get them through.
Right.
Possibly even longer. So, ugh.
And WWE is going back to live. And I mean, you know, Forbes even had an article that I read today talking about how they don't even know when Roman Reigns is coming back because, I mean, he's got underlying issues, and to put him at risk is really fucked up for this company to do. To put anyone at risk, and listen, I'm definitely, you know, I know that a lot of people are, some people are paranoid about this whole thing going on, but, you know, we still got to live our lives. I get that. But I don't think they should be going live right now. I think they should be definitely recording, even if they just record 2 weeks at a time. That'd be fine. Even, you know what? Even if they just recorded a week at a time, maybe over a couple of days. But at this point, what we're going to get over the next few weeks, if they go live, you and I, all three of us know what they're going to get is we're just going to get the same guys over and over who are willing to come in, not worried about it, don't believe it's a big deal. So basically what we're going to get is just the volunteers. So we're just going to have, exactly. So we're going to, the volunteers are the guys that are going, this is going to make me look good in Vince's eyes. Okay. I'll admit that. So
yeah, I mean, this is it. I mean, I don't know, man. This is just becoming, regardless of where you stand on what's going on, and some people are overly paranoid. To me, at this point, better to be overly paranoid and overly cautious than to be just laissez-faire, just to be kind of like, whatever about it, because this is not a whatever type of situation. Mm. At this point, this is just coming across very callous and very uncaring. I mean, like, I get the whole, notion that people got to live their lives. You can't live your life in fear. Show must go on, blah, blah, blah. But at this point, it's just becoming very much irresponsible as an owner. and not really taking heed to what's going on out there. Like literally everything around you is shut down.
Now,
everything.
My question is, how does he classify these guys as media?
I can't even imagine a cop pulling over Alexa Bliss. She pulls out, excuse me, I'm essential media.
Yeah, and
what do? I'm a wrestler.
Yeah, and
fuck out of here, bitch. Take your ass back home.
And I gotta be honest with you, I've been going back and forth to work, and I have not seen barely any cops on the road. Honestly, barely any. And if they are, they're just kind of sitting there bullshitting with each other. The only cops I've seen on the road are in fucking parking lots, parked, the old, with the driver's sides, to each other and talking. That's all I've really seen. Cops aren't really pulling people over right now unless you're fucking doing something ridiculous on the road.
Well, I don't know if this qualifies as ridiculous to you, Bots, but I actually posted it on my wall. A little video going viral.
I did see that.
Yeah, so basically, SEPTA, our local transportation system here in Philly, has a new rule that they implemented where everybody that gets on bus, train, trolley, any of their modes of transportation, they have to have a mask on. So obviously didn't get this whole video from the beginning, just kind of got it midway through, so we don't know whether the cops instigated it, whether the guy instigated it, but this guy was basically forcibly pulled off the bus by like 8 or 9 cops for not having a mask on. The bus driver refused to pull off because he got on the bus without a mask. The people that were on the bus were freaking out. And the main crux of this, the reason SEPTA even put this thing into place is because 3 mechanics had passed away from the coronavirus.
Okay. Right.
So they're overly cautious about the situation, obviously. And it was just a big to-do. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
All right.
Tied into wrestling somehow, but it's just
not
nuts.
gonna tie into wrestling. Now I know I am pro law enforcement. I am. But aren't we having a shortage of masks right now? Aren't they hard to get? Aren't they hard to find the exact N95 masks that are supposed to be worn right now? Isn't there a shortage of masks? Do we have to drag? Listen, I get rules. I hate to say this. Rules are not fucking laws. There's a big difference. Look it up on Google. There is a big difference. The difference is consequences. Rules, okay. You know what? Maybe the guy shouldn't have been on there. Maybe, a few. But listen, it's not worth dragging a guy off and arresting him. Because when you drag him off that bus, he was probably going to work, by the way.
Oh, he didn't get arrested, but he did call the scene. He was asking for badge numbers, the whole bit.
Well, he's lucky he didn't get arrested, which kind of proved my point. That was a rule. That wasn't a law. If it was a law, they would have arrested him. It was just a rule. And I mean, listen, tell the guy, look, can you put your fucking shirt over your mouth or something? But I mean, for everyone.
So in other words, you basically think the cops went too far in that situation.
I do.
What you saw.
I do. And I know you might be surprised by that, but I do think the cops went too fucking far. And I think that it's getting a little fucking out of hand right now. It really fucking is. And the bad thing is you can go online and there's articles that say the masks don't really do dick, that the best way to do it is to distance each other. Even Dr. Fauci said the masks aren't really doing much, but they're helping a little bit. And then you can go online and people are like, you must wear a mask. I see people wearing, right. Now people wear masks at my job because we have a lot of gluing and stuff like that going on. It smells. I mean, dude, there's times at my job when it's cold in the winter, you can get fucking high in that place because all the doors are closed. But but I do think the cops went too far. And they didn't go total Vic Mackey weebs. But they might have gone a little Sipowicz, but they didn't go Vic Mackey. Put it that way. Smart, did you get to see that video?
I had heard it described. Actually, I hadn't seen it. It wasn't even available for me to watch, so I'll go back and check on it. But yeah, I heard them described as them being the mask as supplemental. Like it's not the end all be all cure all solution in terms of prevention or defense against, but it's just advised to help, make things a little bit easier to kind of reduce it a little bit. But yeah, it's hard. What I was asking Anthony, and I guess ultimately it was, but like, would a bandana or T-shirt or whatever, would that have sufficed? I guess it would have. That's what I heard that it would have. But yeah, it's hard. Like you said, not everybody has those masks.
Yeah, and here's the thing. And if you look online, there's a ton of videos right now. There's people that are like showing you how like a bandana doesn't work, a cloth mask doesn't work. You can blow out a lighter through a bandana. You shouldn't be able to do that through a fucking mask. You can blow out a lighter through a cloth mask. You shouldn't be able to do that with an N95 mask. Won't be able to do that. So I don't know. A lot of things are getting out of hand. I really hope this shit turns around and we get back to, I don't even want to say normal, because I don't think we're ever going to be normal after living through this again. But I hope we can get back to some sort of norm that we can all, kind of live with. But I think we're starting to get a little out of hand here.
Yeah, and like I said, I get it. People need to take it seriously, but I just thought my whole thing was I'm kind of like in agreement with you, Box, because I actually was prepared to thought we was gonna go to war. So thank you for agreeing, so I can conserve some of my rage for later in the show.
Listen, man, I take a lot of things situation by situation. I know a lot of people think that I'm stuck in my ways and he's the hardcore conservative. He sucks the cops' boots. No, I don't. I take things situation by situation. In this situation, the cops went too far, in my opinion. And go ahead, Anthony.
Yeah, my whole thing was, like I said, I wish we had more of an outlier for what caused the initial situation to kind of see who kind of instigated what. But I just think that whole thing could have been avoided with a simple conversation with the guy. Look, guy, if you're not going to comply with this is a set this rule. If you're not going to comply with it, we're asking you to step off the bus. I just think it was ridiculous to make a scene out of that. That shouldn't have even been that type of scene, dragging somebody off literally. This didn't look like some type of street person. This was like you said, he looked like he was on his way to work.
Right.
Literally, he's one of the quote unquote essential employees out there that have to be out there. If it was up to him, I would imagine he would be at home. But he literally looked like he was on his way to work. Had a suitcase with him, cell phone that the cops were nice enough to kick on. I don't know if you caught that as they were dragging him off the bus. It fell out his hand, and one of the cops just kicked it, that was fucked up.
Yeah,
I just think the whole thing was handled poorly. Like I said, he didn't have to be as aggressive as he was on his end, because at that point, if you got that many cops surrounding you, it's best to comply and just kind of calm down and just try to diffuse the situation. But to get dragged off the bus, I'm kind of in agreement that it shouldn't have went that far.
Yeah. So you know what this guy's going to do? If he has the money, he's going to probably call a cab or an Uber and then get in the back of the car without a mask. And it's going to be no fucking different. So really, what happened here is they absolutely saved nothing. Nothing. The guy's still going to fucking get to work one way or the other. I hope he does. I hope he did. Excuse me. So, I don't know, man. I just, we're really getting out of fucking hand here. And I hope we can get back to some sort of norm that we can all agree on, live with, and be happy again.
And I'm just waiting. You already know, because the majority of those cops were all white. This gentleman was black. Mm-hmm. So I'm already waiting for the race card to get played in the situation. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for somebody to ring up Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton,
Rodney King.
Somebody. I'm waiting. And honestly, I don't think this was a racial issue at all. I just think that everybody is just up in arms. And this, like I said, this COVID-19 situation is something that's new to all of us. Mm-hmm. None of us have ever lived through this. So this is basically we're all trial by fire. We're all learning as we go.
Yeah, we are, man. Yeah, we are. But anyway, let's move on from that. We've got to stop talking about this COVID thing. Like I said, though, it consumes us right now. It's all we fucking have.
Tell you what, though, chicken sandwiches don't seem so important anymore, do they?
Hey, I told you, man. Popeye's fucking delivery was the best thing they ever fucking did, man. Let's keep everybody out of this motherfucker. This is a great idea. Let's just deliver from now on. Why even have people in the fucking store?
so smart. Are you telling me you yearn for the days when we would get on this show and talk about old white women getting body slammed on concrete by Popeyes workers because I guess of a lack of chicken sandwiches, or she was overcharged for her chicken sandwich, or whatever the case may be.
I just for that it's kind of funny, but then it's also sad when you consider the fact that her body probably can't absorb that kind of punishment. But when I saw that video, just in the back of my mind, I was just like, because I kind of felt bad, and I also did kind of laugh. I was just like, please let her have said like the N-word, just so I would not feel so bad about laughing at her being body slammed.
Oh,
because it's like that's the only thing I could possibly think that was like, because like, what else could have possibly happened that would have led to her just being straight up like fucking German suplexed on concrete?
Jeez. And you know, I'll tell you, speaking of this COVID-19 thing, here's what I saw today. I went to lunch. I know this is actually a funny story. I went to lunch. I was working today. I went to lunch, and there's only 3 places to go where I'm at. You can go to Taco Bell, you can go to McDonald's, or you can go to Whataburger. That's it. Everywhere else is like 3-4 miles away, and I really was trying to get back because I went to lunch late and I wanted to get the day done. I went to Taco Bell. I was the 6th person in line, so I sat there in line and I went there. And, you know, I'm sitting there, I'm listening to the fucking radio, I'm listening to a podcast, just listening. And I'm watching the girl. The girl has gloves on. That's taking the money and doing everything. She has on gloves. And like I said, I was 6th in line. There were 5 cars in front of me. All right. I watched this girl take everyone's money. Okay. Now, when she handed you the food, they would hand it to you on a tray, right? Mm-hmm. She had gloves on. But every credit card just went right into the hand. And she handed it back. So those gloves also went through every single person that went through that line. She didn't change those gloves.
Yep. And that's the thing, man. Like, that's why I'm kind of like with the gloves. I feel like the gloves are kind of like pointless because once you kind of like interact with one person, those gloves are contaminated unless you change them. So you're better off, honestly, just going bare hand and just using like sanitizer and washing your hands just constantly throughout the day. Gloves are pointless.
This is why when you're at a hospital or a doctor, he'll go in the room, he'll put on the glove, he'll do what he has to do. They'll take them off, they'll throw them away, they'll go to the next room, they'll put on the gloves, they'll do same fucking thing. This is why doctors do that, because they know that after one patient, it's done. But I know a lot of places can't afford to have everyone. A place like Taco Bell, who has thousands of people coming through a day, can't afford to use thousands of gloves a day. I get that. And it's just a lot of things we're doing aren't exactly making sense, is what I'm saying. It doesn't exactly make fucking sense. We're still transferring germs with gloves. And believe it or not, germs will stick to latex more than they'll stick to skin. So.
Yeah, I mean, I would feel like I would say more than anything, if you have somebody that's working the drive-thru, they're processing, I don't know what word I just said. The word I was aiming for was processing. You have people working the drive-thru processing the orders, and then you're dealing with the money. I feel like at least for right now, those shouldn't be the same people that are handing you the food. Like, you could have the person who made the food or somebody else, because I'd imagine there's at least 3 or 4 people at any given time, even right now, inside of the restaurant working. So don't just make it so that the person that's dealing with the money isn't the same person that's handing out the food. It really shouldn't be that hard.
Yeah. And I saw someone paying cash. Cash is nasty. We know cash is gross.
Yeah. And at some places, I don't know about where you guys are at, but there's certain places like even like 7-Eleven, they're not doing cash right now.
I think that's going to be a big thing because they were already, like, by and large, most companies were already trying to kind of get rid of paperless transactions. They were trying to incentivize those. They were trying to get rid of the actual cash itself. So I feel like, if anything, even once we get past this, it's going to be sort of the emphasis put on them trying to just completely eliminate cash.
Well, Bill Gates wants us all to get chips so we don't have to carry cash anymore. Anyway.
There we go. Now we're sliding into the...
Now, I got some tinfoil here. Let me make a hat real quick, guys.
Your inner thought is emerging.
Hey, Bill Gates is like a trillionaire, so I don't know. I would kind of trust his word on some of these things. No?
What, because he has money? Does money make you a genius? What the fuck? What? Okay. Jesus Christ. Come on, Anthony. He also wants everyone in the world to get vaccinated. Are you going to take that vaccine?
No.
Me neither.
I'm trying to add some color.
No.
I already do that.
I told you already do that.
If you pay attention to anything that we've said today, no vaccination for your kids. It'll be fine.
If
you're sick, just push them off the edge of the earth and make another one.
Look, my kids are vaccinated, but I'm not taking any vaccination from Mr. Bill Gates. I'm sorry. It's just not going to fucking happen. Because that's probably going to be a chip is what it's going to be, and I'm not fucking doing that. But anyway, let me take off my tinfoil hat real quick, and let's get back to some wrestling, guys.
What a departure that was.
Yeah.
You got a good point.
Yeah, please. Let's get back to SmackDown, I believe we were going to get into. If there was anything to really get into besides the last little part of it where Bray Wyatt came on, I got to tell you, SmackDown, I could have really watched a fucking rerun of I could have watched NYPD Blue and been fucking happy. I could have watched anything and been happy. I rushed to watch, and to put it this way, Anthony, I told you guys, both of you guys smart, that I was watching the NXT main event before I watched SmackDown, and I started the NXT main event at 7 o'clock when my time, which is when SmackDown started here. I started SmackDown over an hour late because I was doing stuff in between the match. I caught up within 32 minutes.
Yeah.
It wasn't really, like I said, it wasn't anything of real note. I mean, it opened up with Braun. I missed the first 5 minutes, but I basically put 2 and 2 together because I wasn't going back to watch a Braun promo.
No.
Nakamura came out. He was going to be his first opponent, yay. The only thing that kind of like threw me for a loop in a bad way with the Dirt Sheet segment, I not only love Miz and Morrison as an act, but once they started singing a song live with no crowd, no type of background noise, the kind of like, that was horrible. That was fucking horrible.
I thought about opening with that song, but
no. And the thing is, I actually like the post-produced version of the song. Music video. It got the vocals. It got all this. Auto-tuned to death is beautiful. But just them going a cappella with it was god awful. God awful.
Yeah, and you're right. It wasn't. Antosh brings up a point I'll bring up in a minute. But Smark, what do you think of that song? You're a hip hop guy.
Aficionado. Yeah, I mean, I would agree that the more produced version is the better version in this case. I didn't mind the segment that much. The only thing that really bothered me, and I don't want to get redundant and go right back to the rabbit hole we just emerged from, was the verbiage that they used, because they were showing the replay of the triple threat ladder match, which I thought was a lot better than some people gave credit for, but neither here nor there. Anyways, they said that Morrison defended it or they ended up deciding to make it a triple threat instead of the regular, 6-man ladder match because Miz was hurt. Mm-hmm. That is not true. Like, okay, if you can't give a real reason to why some of your talent aren't performing, maybe you do need to second guess what it is that you're deciding to try to move forward with.
Well, here's my problem with that segment. He's supposed to wanting to be self-quarantined, but he's still doing this.
And they announced that he's going to be wrestling next week.
Right, so
because they're supposed to do a triple threat of the people that weren't in the match last on WrestleMania because,
Yeah, so I'm very confused on what happened here, and I don't know. I'm very confused.
I'm confused because what wasn't the story that the Usos were pissed that he was even allowed in the facility and they're not working matches with him? I'm so confused. This is why, like I said, once again, I'm going to say it till I'm blue in the face. They need to shut down. Because Miz, like I said, Miz is one of those dudes where I feel like he'll keep working until he can't work no more.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be half past dead still. What do you need from me, Vince? What do you need from me, boss? He'll be like the dude from Saving Private Ryan. What do you need from me, boss? Whatever you need. And it's like, no, but, and look, you need to, once again, if these people are not going to protect themselves, then as an owner, that's when you need to step in and say, do the humanitarian thing and say, stay home. Yeah. Stay home for like a couple of weeks just to kind of see where we're at. I mean, I really think that Vince is one of those people that think this is going to be over in a couple months. And it's not. At this point, if we're out of the woods by October, November, we'll be lucky. Like seriously, like this is literally a day by day thing.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, yeah, that's what I've been saying. I mean, we're literally living day by day right now. We're all living like alcoholics. Take it day by day. We're all living like alcoholics. I mean, I have been for a long time, but anyway.
Because right now we're in a position where the only thing we can really go on is the reports that we read, and then like, okay, who's telling these people this, that they're reporting? Because there's even less people around than there normally is to kind of stooge off to, Meltzer or whoever else. So it's like, we might not, obviously kind of know shit because that's been the case forever, but the news that we've been getting might not be the actual news or, the way that things are actually going down.
Are you saying that the mainstream media would lie to us?
I don't think so. I don't think like corporately owned conglomerates do anything to dissuade the public. I trust in Viacom, sir.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, you're probably right.
They have money, which maketh them nice.
Ooh, shot time. Thank you, baby. Oh, guys. Look at this. Thank you, babe.
Cheers. Awesome.
Love you, baby.
Since it is shot time, real quick wormhole.
Okay.
Egg whites in your drink. Would you have a drink that had egg whites in it?
No.
Okay. That's also a no from me, Anthony.
That'd be a no, too.
All right. Unanimously.
And back to wrestling. There we go. Just because I've heard of I heard people talking about the gin fizz the other day, and it has egg whites in it. Like some of the more upscale bars and places like that offer drinks with egg whites in it. And it just sounds disgusting to me.
That sounds very like I could see a guy with very tight jeans, a flannel shirt, and a very sweet beard, drinking that. A red beard at that. A red beard.
Whose balls haven't dropped yet. That being his favorite drink.
Yeah. You put egg whites anywhere. Yeah, no egg whites. Thank you. No. I mean, I'll eat them if they're in eggs, but no. What the fuck you putting that shit in my drink for?
I'll drink mine straight like a real man.
Yeah,
there you go.
I just did a fucking straight shot of vodka. God damn it! I think that's my 5th shot. I got 6 beers here. Anyway.
Jesus.
We got 3 left.
We're pussifying drinks now. Fuck is America coming to?
Been pussifying drinks for years, dude. Dude, we have fucking seltzer with alcohol in it. Pussifying. Hey, by the way, notice everything was fine until we started getting these seltzer beers. Know that? Get that, guys?
Yeah.
See what happens when y'all start fucking with seltzer?
All I know is this is not John McClane's America.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
I think we just missed out on the opportunity to have Joey Janela on the show. Bashing in the poor White Claws. I had one. I got to say, I'm not a fan. I tend to enjoy the more flavored and, just for lack of a better term, as some people would like to call it, the girly drinks. I have no shame in admitting I like me a nice pina colada, rum and coke, whatever.
Okay.
But I'm just not a fan of the... not a fan of the White Claws.
There's liquor in those. That's fine.
True.
The white now Corona has a seltzer. Natural. The beer Natural Light, Natural Ice, Nasty Natty, all those. They have a seltzer. Everyone now has a fucking seltzer. Enough, guys. You're fucking the universe up with your seltzer shit.
Just real quick, just shout out to Mike's Hard Lemonade. Don't change on me, please.
Oh, I like Mike's Hard Lemonade. It's very sugary. I can only have like 3.
Oh, what's your favorite one?
Just the straight, the original, the straight lemonade one.
The black cherry one is underrated.
I don't like when I go too flavory. They have a pink lemonade one that I can do. That
I haven't had. That sounds like it's good.
Yeah, that one I can do. But I can't go too flavory. Otherwise, I feel like I don't know. It gets weird. Then I'll be like, you know what? I need like a beer, like a beer.
How about you, Smart? Are you a fan of Mike's Hard Lemonade?
I do enjoy Mike's Hard Lemonade. Sometimes I like to use them to kind of like as a chaser when I get vodka, because I usually tend to get the like bottom shelf vodka, and sometimes you get what you pay for, and the taste is just god fucking awful.
Yeah. So
you throw those on to chase them. I like Red's Wicked Apple. That's really good.
Ooh, yes. Again, another one. Listen, I can drink. Red's is good, and there's another apple called Hornsby's.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds familiar. I feel like I had that before.
Hornsby's it's expensive. It's like $9 or $10, like $9.99, $10.99 a 6-pack. But you drink 6 of those, and you may actually get more hair on your balls. Those motherfuckers will fuck you up, man. Definitely fuck you up. I love those, but I buy them very rarely because I can drink 6 without a problem, but I wake up the next morning like so thirsty from all the sugar in those things, man.
Yeah. When it comes to alcohol, I'm pretty open-minded. Only thing I'll never do is whiskey, like Jameson. Ugh. I can't.
You know what? I'm not a whiskey guy. My boss a few weeks ago sent me to a whiskey tasting.
God bless you. More of a man than I am.
I actually think I mentioned this on the show because I really do. And I did find one whiskey that was not only the best whiskey I've ever tasted, but one of the best liquors I've ever tasted. Johnny Walker Blue. It's $350 a bottle.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess I won't be trying that no time soon.
I won't either. Unless I go to another whiskey tasting. But this was one of the smoothest. And again, dude, I had a real bad experience on my 18th birthday with whiskey. If I smell whiskey, I start like cringing. It's horrible.
So,
I'm gagging almost. The only whiskey
did it have an aftertaste?
No. It was
whiskey. That's my biggest issue with whiskey. The aftertaste
didn't have an aftertaste. Didn't have that almost after smell that kind of wafts through your whole like olfactory
like a burning.
system.
Yeah.
Didn't have it. It was just one of the best things I have ever fucking tasted in my life. So if you can ever find someone that has a bottle of Johnny Walker Blue and they offer you a drink, do not say it's whiskey. I don't want it. Take it. I promise you, take it.
Nice.
Never turn down free liquor.
No, especially not that. Oh my God, because that is expensive. But yeah. I told my boss I don't drink whiskey, but I can taste anything. But these people are taking little sips, and I went, I hate to say, but I am not refined. I'm doing shots. They're like, go ahead. Some of us, we always have someone that does shots. I'm like, all right, that's me. Okay. So, they're like sipping the whiskey, and I'm like, no, I can't do this. And the guy beside me is like telling us all about each whiskey, and I'm like, can I drink it yet?
Oh, so you weren't one of those douchebags at the wine tasting that do the little swishy thing with the alcohol?
No.
Good man. Good
no,
man.
I was the douchebag fucking doing shots when everyone else was doing sipping. I was a different douchebag.
So in other words, you were a shoot drinker. You weren't a spit take guy.
Right. I'm not sure if I should have said that, but anyway. All right, let's.
We're filling time, folks, because SmackDown really was not very an eventful show this evening. We had a WrestleMania rematch with the Kabuki Warriors and Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross.
Right.
Chains retained in that match. I feel like they're doing like a slow burn with Bayley and Sasha. It feels like they're almost, and they kind of brought it up on commentary. Like it feels like they're switching roles a little bit. Like Bailey's becoming more of the bitch character, and Sasha's going more of a tweener. Only thing I'm still not understanding is the Tamina element here. Does she have pictures? Does she have like some fucking dirty? Did Vince have like dirty sex with her at some point?
She's another,
and nobody knows.
No, she's another one that has pictures of Pat Patterson with a woman.
So basically, what they did was, Bailey, Sasha come out. They do the best friends gimmick. Tamina comes out, basically challenges for the belt. So next week, her and Sasha are going to have a match, and if Tamina wins, she'll get a shot at the belt. Obviously, she's not going to be the one to dethrone Bailey, so we're just killing time here. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You guys feel differently?
I will say the benefit to her promo was that she finished it by saying to Sasha, "Girl, your best friend just screwed you." And I was like, "Whoa, do I have to rewind? I'll watch that again." I wasn't paying full attention to this promo, but thank you for giving me a good mental image.
She did say that, and I gotta say, my mind went where yours did.
I'll be honest. I'm glad you guys picked that up because I really kind of tuned it out. I'm figuring like they aren't saying anything of note, so I had it on in the background, but I didn't pay attention to a damn thing they said.
I threw $9.99 directly at the television as soon as she said.
Yeah. I would pay good money to see that. More than $9.99.
Oh,
more than $9.99.
Oh,
I'm saying, yeah, definitely.
Oh, I gotta say this because Corey Graves was on commentary, and I meant to call him out on this on Sunday. I forgot Saturday or Sunday. So this is like I caught like a segment of one of the pre-shows. So they were talking. No, matter of fact, it was Sunday because they were talking about the Otis and Dolph Ziggler match.
Right.
And now, mind you, this is storyline, but they kind of mixed in a little shoot element to it. And Corey Graves goes, I would never interject my personal life into my professional life. It was one of those tongue-in-cheek type things, and he was doing the fucking it was Rosenberg.
Yeah.
He gives him the kind of look like, are you fucking kidding me right now?
Wow, you're really dude, if you're going back and watching pre-shows, you really need to get back to work, dude.
Yeah. The struggle is real.
Yeah, you really need to get back to work. But
no, it's just that was like a Rain Man moment. I just remembered it.
No,
because apparently they did like a little backstage segment where Carmella and Dana Brooke are going to challenge them for the belts at some point. And that's what made me think of it.
Okay, interesting.
Because I thought they were still quarantined. To be honest with you,
who knows anymore? They're essential media, damn it, Anthony.
Huh?
They're essential media.
Now, do you think that, honestly, I don't even mean to be funny when I say this, because of this quarantine situation where everybody has to be at home by a certain time, you have to basically be in close quarters with your loved ones. Do you think we're going to see a rise in domestic incidences? It's just what I took because there's no break. You're not going to get a break from these people.
I just saw on the news today, or actually it was yesterday, sorry, that my state, or the state that I currently live in, Tennessee, is leading the nation in breakups. I don't know how they accumulated that data, but apparently once all this shit gets finished, there's going to be a pretty big marketplace to peruse.
Well, Smark, this is for you. Congratulations.
It does feel nice.
Good. I told you, man, the best business that you're going to be in after this is all over is a gynecologist and a divorce attorney.
Oh yeah,
those are going to be killing it after this. Killing it. So if you're looking to change careers, go ahead right now.
Yeah. Actually, I go back to work Monday, and business is very, very good.
Oh,
very, very good. Oh yeah, it's booming business. Because
I'll
like
bet.
You said, you're at home. The fuck you got to do?
No.
So, ironically enough, fuck. Eat.
Fuck.
So you're gonna come out really sexually satisfied and really full.
Yeah.
Like seriously.
Yeah.
If you leave your house after all this, skinny, and no ass to speak of, you're doing something wrong. You're doing something totally wrong with your life.
Definitely, man. I don't know, man. We're living in crazy fucking times right now, but
yeah, but I don't know what you guys got. I didn't really have anything else. I mean, we had the main event.
I guess we can talk real quick about the Dolph Ziggler, who's now
yes.
Dolph and Tucker. You know what? I got to tell you something real quick. Yeah, I'm kind of glad I remembered that. I'm not so worried about Tucker on his own. After seeing tonight, I'm not that worried about Tucker after they do break these guys up, because we know that's the formula. I'm not as worried about Tucker as I was before. I think he might be okay. They'll have to change his gimmick, but I think he'll be okay. I really do.
Oh, yeah, because they're going to keep Otis with the whole everyman, common man type of gimmick.
Right, the blue-collar worker guy, and that's going to be Otis. But after seeing Tucker tonight, I don't know why, but I felt like, man, this guy might be okay. He's really got it when it comes to the in-ring, man. He really is great in-ring, which, you know, that's Otis isn't exactly the best in-ring. He's a big guy, but he's not the best. And Tucker, obviously, you know, and we saw on Mania, he was doing all the crazy shit, but I definitely am not as worried for Tucker as I was before. I think he'll be okay. I don't know if he'll be, he's not going to be WWE champion or anything, Universal champion, but I definitely think he'll be okay on his own.
And I say this with all sincerity, and I mean it as a compliment. He got him there, and he hung with Dolph Ziggler. I mean, look, you can say all you want about Dolph Ziggler, overexposed, should have left 5-10 years ago. That's all very accurate and very true. But I feel like a good barometer in WWE for a guy's motor, what kind of motor a guy has, is putting him in there with Ziggler. Because the guy doesn't get tired, and he knows how to work. And literally, that match, for as short as it was, Tucker stayed with him every step of the way. I didn't feel like he got winded. He kept the same pace. It was just like, I don't think he's going to be like a main eventer per se, but I could see him being like a solid upper mid-card guy.
Yeah.
IC US title level. No problem.
And Ziggler will sell his ass off for you, which makes everyone look better, especially when it's a guy like Tucker, who, again, isn't bad in the fucking ring. And I've said many times I'm really worried about this guy. Not anymore. I think he's going to be all right when they do put him on his own. Again, they'll change his character. There's a few things they could do with him that probably would work. So not as worried about him as I was before.
And once again, dude, we got to raise a glass. I mean, they were not represented on the show in the physical form, but Otis, my man Otis, somewhere clapping cheeks. Good man. Like, seriously, man. Look, he is an inspiration to us all. And those little clips, fucking tremendous. I'm sorry. Otis with a dumbbell and hold a fucking thing full of bananas. Fantastic, bro. Like, how anybody cannot smile whenever Otis comes up on the screen. You're a heartless bastard.
Yeah,
this is a smile when you see Otis on the screen, bro.
This is a fun storyline. It really is. It's actually a fun little storyline they got going. I don't know, Smart. You think it's kind of a fun storyline that's going on?
Definitely. Yeah, I definitely agree. I was actually, before Friday's show, last Friday, I was actually when I saw that they were still going for it, I was kind of like, man, you really could have just used this as an opportunity to let it die, because you clearly had nothing planned for this shit other than the same old, same old. And then they had that, and then like right at the end of the show, or right during SmackDown last Friday, they had that angle where, they showed that what really ended up happening, and then they kind of kicked it back into gear. And right now, I mean, for as negative as things are and as negative as we can be on their product, that is something that is genuinely fun and enjoyable to watch. So that's something that we need more of right now.
Definitely, man.
And kudos to Mandy too. Like I said, like she's holding up her end. Like this storyline has two very likable people. Like, and I can honestly believe, because you look at the dynamic of what Otis looks like and what Mandy looks like. And on paper, you're like, this don't work. But they make it work. You could see her being into this dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, okay, obviously storyline is storyline is storyline, but they're friends, so that actually does help make things a little bit believable, more enjoyable. But also, just for the people who don't want to choose to believe that it would ever be feasible at all, go and look at what Trish Stratus's husband looks like. Like, sometimes some people do end up winning the lottery.
He looks like a thinner Jason Alexander.
I gotta look this guy up because I mean it's like he gets clowned a lot. Sasha's man gets clowned a lot. Like there's hope. Don't ever think if you're out there and you're like I'm only a 3 or 4 that you can't score a 10 because there's a lot of guys out there winning right now.
Hey man, I think I lucked out. So there you go. So I don't know. My wife might be listening.
Yeah. I don't know, bro. I don't know about you. If you find out that Caitlin or Mandy are available, I don't know.
I just said she might be listening. You son of a bitch.
I like to stir shit up, but it's all in fun. It's all in fun.
She has been. She has said she's listened to us live before. But I was listening to you guys. I'm like, why were you doing that?
I will say, if I could just quote that, like, kind of paraphrase quote that line from Clerks. Silent Bob says, "Hey, you can find plenty of women to have sex with you, but not every woman's going to bring you lasagna at work."
Definitely. Remember that, folks. Remember that. All right. From there, I guess we get into the SmackDown main event, right, guys?
That's right.
So, the main event was what it was. Like Anthony was talking about, the whole, Nakamura came down, challenged Braun. The match was what it was. I really didn't care about the match. The best part was after the match when Bray Wyatt came on the screen. I don't know about you guys, but I like what they're doing, and I can see this match going the same way. The cinematic route is what I'm saying.
It has to. It has to. I'm going to cut you off because
no, that's fine.
I'm going to cut you off. I just wanted to say real quick, that's the only way to go with that, because these two are not going to have a good match. I'm sorry. As a standalone match, it would be god awful. Post produced the shit out of those two.
Yeah. and with all the history they have, and I like that they showed it tonight with the history with, Braun, and I like that he was calling him, my son and all that stuff. And I thought it was really good what Bray Wyatt was doing. And then I thought it was really good what Braun said at the end when he said, whenever you want, I'm ready to let you in. And it was just it really worked. This was a very good segment between the two, even though I know it's pre-recorded and all that stuff, but great segment, in my opinion. And if they go really cinematic on this, boy, once again, do they have another opportunity to make this another great fucking, quote unquote match. But this is just one more opportunity they have. And, I'm either worried for two things when it comes back to having audiences. They're either going to, A, stop doing these cinematic things, for the matches, or B, drown us in the cinematic things that we're going to start hating them.
It has to be, like you said earlier, I like that word you used earlier, situational. It has to fit the character and the circumstance. Mm-hmm. Like the cinematic feel, it works for Bray Wyatt's character. It works for The Undertaker's character. You don't necessarily need to do this for every performer. Just kind of like make it a special thing. Mm-hmm. Make it a special thing. Like Bray, the monster among men against the Fiend. That to me screams cinematic match. That screams. I mean, like it writes itself. The Fiend versus the monster, and you can get real crazy and creative with that. So yes, I bring that on. But after that, I would just take a break from it for a little while. Like literally,
so
like quarterly.
To me, is that you don't want to see like Bailey versus Carmella at the plastic surgeon's office, where Carmella would have the upper hand?
Right?
Nah, I mean, you could do it. It might even be, it might be bizarrely entertaining, but to me, it would take away from. You don't want to take away from the seriousness of a match like the Boneyard, or even the semi-seriousness of the Bray Wyatt characters' Funhouse matches. Because as goofy as the match with Cena was, as much of an acid trip as it was, there was still an underlying layer of seriousness to it. And you don't want to water that down with, the plastic surgery, like a lot of unnecessary people that don't know how to carry it. Because let's be honest, a lot of people in WWE are not good actors.
Good point.
Good actresses, good actors, that they can't pull it off. Undertaker is a badass, even though he's old, he can still pull that off believably. Yeah. Bray Wyatt plays off the monster character super well. And so gotta be situational.
It not even situational, it has to fit the character.
Yes.
And I know so far it's fit each character. It's fit Bray Wyatt. It's fit Undertaker. But like Smart just said, if they start doing it with Sasha and Carmella, that's where it's going to be like, okay, no more. I'm done. I'm tapping out. I'm finished. This is where it's going to fucking stop. If they do it with these ominous characters, Taker, ominous character, Bray Wyatt, really an ominous character, but that's fine. And they can even, but this will be really another opportunity for them. But there's a few more characters they could do them with, but it's just going to be very limited. And situational is a perfect because they need to figure that out. Otherwise, they're just going to shove it down our throats. And, I hate to say what Smart said, but, we're going to sit there and see Sasha Banks and Carmella in the, plastic surgery office.
I will say to Smart's point, and I'm actually going to go against my heart here for a second here, and will say that they could have gone one more direction if Bayley was still a babyface. Imagine doing like a cinematic match with based off like the Mean Girls with Bayley and Alexa Bliss, and they do it in like a high school gym. And they're both cheerleaders.
I think there's several websites.
Yes, I've seen this on Pornhub, Anthony. I like where you're going, but I'm not sure if it's going to fit. WWE. I like this. I'm sorry. I hear cheerleaders. I go right to fucking Pornhub and X videos. That's all I'm saying.
No, but jokes aside, I wouldn't want that. Anyway, it's just because like I said, porn is porn, but wrestling, give me my wrestling.
Well,
Titus O'Neil in a bowling alley.
Maybe. So that was NXT.
So I think that was SmackDown. Man, as much as we had to get into tonight, this might not be the longest show we've ever fucking done. Oh my god, this is ridiculous.
A lot of news.
There is. You guys want to start with this Ronda Rousey thing?
Yes. But just because it's ridiculous, people are getting worked on this thing.
I totally agree with you. Thank you.
Totally getting people. This woman is under contract until April of next year. She works very closely with Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman has made a career, a lifetime out of these work shoot storyline. Mm-hmm. But you got people like, once again, hook, line, and sinker. I'm sure her and Heyman are having a mighty laugh. Oh, fuck that bitch. We didn't want you anyway. Yeah. But anyway, I'm jumping ahead.
Well,
what's the quote that really kind of set people off today?
The quote from Ronda Rousey was, "At the end of the day, I was just like, fuck these fans, dude. My family loves me, and they appreciate me, and I want all my energy to go into them." So, listen, I agree with her. I get it. But definitely, I believe there's some work in there. She's coming back soon, guys, which is what she's saying. And you know what? I believe she might actually work that Brock schedule. That was probably in her contract.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely guess it was in her contract. I'll work this first year as a full-time, and then I get that Brock schedule.
And let's be honest. I feel like, and especially in hindsight, with the ability of hindsight, our first big clue that she was coming back was Becky beating Shayna. If there literally was no chance of her coming back, Shayna would have won that match. Because literally, after Shayna, there's really nobody else that's plausible to beat her. For the belt.
Now, Forbes had an article up today about how that feud was going to continue and continue for a long time between Shayna and Becky.
That's ominous.
Yes. And that was according to Meltzer, which we have another Meltzer article to get into tonight. Yeah, so that feud is definitely going to continue for a good long time. But yeah, I definitely think Ronda, and again, like Anthony said, she's under contract until April of next. Literally, you know what? She's under contract through April 10th of 2021. So literally, she's under contract for another year.
Yeah, and WWE, like I said, even whether she works a full-time schedule, a block schedule, whatever, they're not going to pay her the kind of money that they're paying her to make 0 appearances between now and the next year. So maybe as early as SummerSlam or whenever WWE is able to get people in the building again. 'Cause I feel like with something like Ronda Rousey coming back, that's a big deal. So you want to do that in an arena full of people. So that's probably going to be the holdup with her coming back. That's probably why I guess Forbes is getting reports that the Shayna Baszler and Becky's storyline is going to be extended for a little while because they're basically killing time. Because they're not going, like I said, for whatever appeal Ronda still has to the mainstream, and she still does hold a lot of weight in that department. You don't want to have her debut in a performance center in front of nobody. So they're going to hold off on that as long as possible, I feel like, in my opinion.
You think so? You don't think
as
they
long
would
as
do
they as long as they possibly can.
With AEW not giving a fuck whether fans are there or not, having huge debuts, you don't think WWE would bring her back with no fans? I do. I do. I really do. And you know what? Fuck these fans. Think about that. Anthony, think about that. Smart, think about that. Fuck these fans. No fans. She comes back. No one to boo her. No one to hate her. No one to like her.
Ah, that's actually a very unique spin. Didn't even think about it like that.
That's fucking some stoner shit right there, man.
Well, Smart, what do you think about all of this? Ronda Rousey.
I think if she really wants to fuck fans, I'm game. But no, I do think it's a bit of a work because I mean, you look at. I don't remember for what for, but I had saw on her like Facebook page. She was the last couple of days or whatever. She had been playing video games for charity. Mm-hmm. And I forget what the charity was, but there's like videos and screen caps and shit of her like in her pajamas playing like Nintendo DS or whatever the fuck for charity. And it's like, it's hard for me to believe that somebody who's sitting there like one day playing video games for charity, the next day is like making videos with like, fuck all you guys, I don't care what you think, all you can eat shit. See, like her whole MO in the first place was that she was almost kind of, her character-wise, she was kind of above this. She didn't do the quote-unquote wrestling crap. She did real stuff.
Yeah,
so like,
but
it all plays together.
Yeah, but now I could see her coming back. Because remember, the fans turned on her when Charlotte beat the shit out of her with that fucking kendo stick. I could see her coming back now and being like, you fans turned on me. I'm so glad you're not here. I'd rather you never come back. This is so much better without you guys here. I can do what I have to do and not listen to what you guys think. I could see that happening, man. I could see that whole fucking thing going down, especially with what she said. I could see it.
Which will be great heel work.
Exactly. I could see her coming back as a heel because she was going that way. a little bit going that way. So if they brought her back and had her do that shit, I think that would be a great way to bring her back. My opinion, obviously.
No, I feel like that'll work. That'll work.
So are we going up in attic?
What? I know. I heard someone. Jesus Christ. So, yeah, I mean, Ronda definitely caused a little bit of stir with that little comment she made, but I think definitely that's working into a heel. I really think that's what's going to happen. I think she's going to come back with the heel character and be like, you know, you fans never appreciate me anyway. This is the best way for me to come back. You're not going to be able to do anything. And, you know, screw you guys anyway. No one's here. I think that's the best way to bring her back, man. No fans, nothing, and have her just shit on everyone. And the fact that the fans aren't there is just so much better for her. And she'd love it to just stay that way. They will hate her.
And honestly, I feel like, and I think it's been established just from her UFC career, and I'm not like a big time UFC follower or fan or anything like that, but I did catch a few of her interviews and press conferences over the years. She works better as a heel. Like when she was a face for the first couple of months in WWE as a face, remember some of those promos? It was so cringe because it felt like so forced. Like she didn't believe a word of what she was saying. I forgot what I might have been watching one of the 24 specials, and like they showed like Vince giving her like tips. When you go out there, smile, act like you know this is the greatest day of your life. You always wanted to be, and I mean obviously she's a fan, so she was into it.
Right.
But like when she would come out smiling, almost unnaturally and uncomfortably smiling, it felt like ugh. It just not that she wasn't genuinely happy to be there, but it just felt so forced. The minute she started to show those subtle heel tendencies, and then I really feel like she started to come into her own in the lead up to WrestleMania, where she basically said, I'm not here to do the fake shit. I'm here. I'm a fighter. Listen, you guys can go in there. You're going to wrestle, but I'm going to go in there. I'm going to tap you out. Yeah, I feel like literally she was really coming into her own, and then she was going.
Yeah, she's a bad bitch. And she'll be the first one to say that. I'm not fucking saying anything out of line. She's a bad bitch, and I believe that the bad bitch character, heel, would work for her more than the, like you said, Anthony, fourth babyface. Smart, you agree with that?
Totally agree. Because, like, yeah, they were kind of trying to have her be almost like in the same way they were doing with the Ken Shamrock thing, where it's like, oh, don't make her snap. But then when you have her coming out there and just, like, being like, okay, come out and smile and wave, like, that's what you tell Kelly to do. That's not what you tell Ronda Rousey to do. Like, I don't understand. And they even kind of did this with Tyson a little bit when they had Tyson, where it's like, okay, just talk about how happy you are to be there and just try to be everybody's friend. That's not who these people are. Mm-hmm. If you're going to sign somebody based on their personality, let them be their personality. It's not that fucking hard.
You're right. And the way they've been building Becky right now, for her to come back with that kind of character, this, you know, totally anti-crowd character, and, you know, Becky's the man and shit like that, it would be perfect for her to come in right now and get her win back over Becky. I just think it would be the perfect fucking thing, the perfect way to fucking do it at this point. Really, there's no other way. You cannot bring Rousey back as a fucking babyface. There's no way to do it. No way. I mean, there is a way, but it would be ridiculous. She's got to come back. She's got to be a badass, and she's got to get her win back over the man. Got to happen, man. What do you think?
Totally agree.
There you go. Anthony went and took a piss real quick, but we'll go ahead and get into one other little thing I've got here. John Cena. I know. He's been doing a little bit of, interviews here and there. He said about a week and a half ago that WWE right now has no real characters that people are going to see.
And I'm back.
There you go.
What are we talking about now?
I'm talking about Cena a little while ago said that there were really no WWE characters anymore that people go specifically to pay for and see. He was on the After the Bell, the Corey Graves podcast, and kind of doubled down.
We talked about this. Yeah, I remember this.
Well, he doubled down on the Corey Graves podcast a little bit. He said, SmackDown, Raw, NXT. You don't have one person you go see. If you go to a show, you go to see 8 or 9 people. I don't think there's ever been more potential under one roof than right now. The Attitude Era was the era of universal popularity. The opening match had a definable story into the main event, and everyone in between had some sort of narrative. Now, we have a few loosely crafted narratives and some big storylines and a lot of matches for the sake of action. But I also believe that's on the performers to make something out of that. I do think there's never been more athletic talent under one roof than right now. My quick opinion, this is again Cena towing the line. You got to realize Cena always toes that line. He'll shit on the company, but then he'll praise what they're doing, and then he'll jump back on track.
Now,
so
let me ask you this,
yeah,
real quick. Just I ain't interrupting. It's just while it's on my mind here. Do you think part of it is Cena because he's basically had some time outside of the bubble? He's become more self-aware because for the bulk of his career on top, he benefited a great deal by being essentially John Cena and friends. He would be the primary person, like I said, like for whatever you want to say about the guy, if you were buying a ticket to a WWE show of any kind, it was probably to see him. Mm-hmm. And like I said, you might see a Randy Orton shirt, you might see a Batista shirt, you might see an Edge shirt, but he was the primary reason that those kids and those families were coming out to shows. So literally it was like WWE starring John Cena and friends. So because he's maybe stepped away, do you think he's become a little more self-aware, become a little more reflective on what the company needs to be successful, now that he's pretty much, I don't want to say retired, but maybe semi-retired?
You know, maybe, but I got to tell you something. Is it bad for you to want to go see more than one person? Seriously. I get they should have a fucking huge, main event guy that can do this, but is it bad for people to want to go see more than one storyline, one person? I really don't. I don't think it's a bad thing, and Cena's making it out like it's a bad thing here.
I think his overall point is that each generation, each era had that one figurehead that kind of like set the tone for everybody. So like when Hogan was on top, everybody, for the most part, followed along that same, superhero type persona, like over the top persona. When you had the new generation era, you had like your Bretts and your Shawns. And then when you got to the Attitude Era, you had Steve Austin kind of leading the charge for that gritty, in-your-face style of presentation of wrestling. Like everybody had an attitude problem, whether it was DX, whether it was Rock. Everybody was like overly aggressive.
Right. I almost can't decide here because listen, he says the first statement that, I don't think you go to a show to see more, now you go to a show to see 8 or 9 people. And then he says the Attitude Era was the era of universal popularity. The opening match had a definable storyline into the main event, and everyone in between had some sort of narrative now. So I can't tell if he's actually saying that, if he's shitting on it, or if he's saying WWE is kind of getting back to that every character has a storyline thing. Because that's
there's definitely some ambiguity with that. Because
yes,
like I kind of took it as him saying that, we got so many talent, we got such a great amount of talent on our roster that nobody's buying tickets now just to see one person. It's a whole, like it's a festival. But then I could also see that being, but festivals need headliners. So it's like, Does he mean that in a good way? Does he mean that in a bad way? It's kind of, and I mean, I guess, I don't know, is there an audio version of this? Because just based on text form, it'd be kind of hard to pick out like what exactly the intent was behind what it was that he was saying.
Well, this quote that I was saying was on the Corey Graves After the Bell podcast.
Yeah.
So you can.
I might need to listen to that because it's kind of hard just like based on you're reading it
right
to kind of gather what it was that he's necessarily implying, or to kind of get my own assessment of what it is that he was implying. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard to kind of tell what it is that he meant by that.
Right, which again was my thing. He's always sort of Cena toes that line very, very well. But he also at the end says, "But I believe that it's on the performers to make something out of that." So there's the backhand.
Well, yeah, because he was saying that there's not a lot. They basically weren't given a lot of continuity or whatever, very in-depth storylines.
Right.
So he's basically but then, like you said, he was kind of reining it in towards the end, because he was basically saying, well, they're giving you a butter knife and they're expecting you to make a fucking sculpture out of make a Mona Lisa sculpture out of a bush. But at the same time, hey, craftsman never blames his tools.
Right. And then what he does is he goes right back to kind of correct himself by saying that, that's on the talent. And then he goes, I do think that there's never been more athletic talent under one roof than right now. So, see, you get a backhand and then a praise and then a backhand. Cena's just a weird dude, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Although I will say also to that point, though, is I would agree with that.
Yes.
Their roster, in terms of people who can just actually straight up wrestle a wrestling match, their roster has never been more full of those guys.
Right.
At the same time, though, there has some depending on the person or depending on the month or the year, there's never been less of a reason to care about these guys either.
True. But like I said, you really can't tell if he's either saying, all right, we're getting back to that Attitude Era where everyone has a storyline, or now we're just seeing there's really no top guy. I'm confused, because there is a top guy on both shows. Whether you want to admit it or not, Rollins is the top guy when it comes to SmackDown. Oh, I'm sorry, Raw. And on SmackDown, Braun, I guess technically would be your top guy. So there are top guys, but Cena's just very vague on this statement. And Smark's right. I wouldn't mind going back and actually listening to this, even though I'm, not really that big on listening to a John Cena interview. This might be one I want to listen to just for context.
Context. Yeah, honestly, I think that we're going to put that on the back burner, maybe for the next episode.
Yeah.
Listen to it. Because I'm actually curious about it. I mean, I don't have any real interest in listening to a Corey Gray podcast. But for the purposes of the show and to get a better context of what Cena means, I want to actually hear the audio in its entirety.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, I did have something fun that I meant to bring up since we were talking about UFC and Ronda Rousey.
Well,
so did you guys hear about the Dan Severn, his comments on Brock Lesnar? Now these are old, so a Reddit user had pulled them up, but they've been getting a lot of traction this week. I'll give you his opinions on Brock Lesnar, which aren't overly complimentary. Now, mind you, Dan Severn is a legitimate UFC, like he can stretch you 6 ways from Sunday. Mm-hmm. He's an early pioneer of this shit. Like, he's nobody to fuck around with. So his opinion carries a lot of weight. Yeah, who dropped out because he said, fuck this, I'm not going to sacrifice my reputation for this shit. But
and we're about to get into that, by the way.
Yeah, so I figure it's a good little segue.
Yes, very good.
Okay, so Dan Severn starts off. This was an Ask Me Anything, one of those threads. So he starts off, well, that won't be a short answer. He's talking about Brock, and his mouthpiece claimed that he's a new beast incarnate, or whatever he refers to him as. He's acting like he's the first wrestler to hold a belt in both wrestling and UFC. Yet I carried my NWA title out to the cage, and it's set next to my UFC title. Brock never did that. And one of us has never tested positive for PEDs, and one of us have not. WWE made such a big deal about him coming out at UFC 200. In 1 year, I kept up with the WWF schedule, working NWA and cage fighting. I was on the road 20 days a month. I had to look at my daily planner to find out if I was a cage fighter or a professional wrestler at the time. The point is, Brock has done a total of 9 emphasis on the 9 matches in his entire career. I did 8 in 1 year while under contract with the WWE. So once again, there is no comparison. Emphasis on the is. God damn, if he was cutting promos like that in 98, he would have been a superstar. God damn.
Yeah, and those are facts.
Jesus.
That there's nothing but facts right there.
Now, were you a fan of the Beast?
I was a fan of Dan Severn, more on the MMA side than the wrestling side. That kind of proves Cornette right. Brawl for All was horrible for some of these fucking people. And WWE has literally almost rewritten history because of it.
Oh, yeah. Now, before we get into that, though, like, what do you guys think about that? I mean, because on the one hand, Severin, I'm not going to disrespect that man because even as old as he is, he can still whoop my ass. He spoke a lot of truths there. But you can't entirely write off Brock. I mean, Brock is a bad fucker.
Definitely. Brock is a bad motherfucker.
He kind of wrote it off. I was actually like, I wish he was in his prime now. I wish both guys were in there. Because that'd be a hell of a UFC match right there. I'm not a UFC guy at all.
It would be. And and believe it or not, I believe today Severn would take that fight. I do. I believe he would. I definitely believe he would.
You guys would be more of what kind of a UFC fighter was he? More of a ground guy, striker?
More of a ground wrestler, which we'll get into when we get into the boxing part of this. He was more of a wrestler, take you down, ground and pound guy. Definitely. Smart,
Smart. What you got?
Yeah, are you a UFC guy? I don't know if I've ever asked you that.
I am. I can say that I really didn't see that much from that particular era because he was like one of the kind of OGs, for lack of a better term. Like he was out there in like 96, 97, 98, but the landscape of that was so different because you had just like straight up guys who like were just bouncers or truck drivers or whatever, and they were going up against these actual like martial artist, well-conditioned athletes.
Right. Like
for a while there, early UFC was the fucking wild, wild west.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, he's got a point, and it's like it's kind of funny to read it and just be like, oh well, shit, he's really going in on him, but. You could also, if you really wanted to defend Brock, there's certain ways that you could defend Brock too, because it's like, okay, yeah, what do we know about the drug testing process of the UFC back then versus now? Because now it is the way that you could judge the way that they promote however you want to, but nowadays, more or less, it's been legitimized. It's a legitimized sport now. And it was not necessarily, like we talked about, it was not necessarily that way back then. So you could look at it like that. And also, Brock didn't test positive for steroids until he had diverticulitis.
Mm-hmm.
Or, till the fights that happened after diverticulitis. They weren't necessarily linked together, but after he had that, that's when his fight with, God, I cannot remember the guy's name, but he's Samoan. Mark Hunt. There we go.
Mark Hunt.
He had the fight with Mark Hunt, and that's when he tested positive for steroids. But yeah, it's interesting. I will say that much. But he kind of had his reasons. But it's definitely cool that he brought the NWA title out with the UFC. I didn't know that he did that.
Yeah. Severn did a lot of things that Brock didn't do. But again, they're rewriting history, and we will. Again, we're definitely going to get into that in a minute. So go ahead, Anthony.
Another fun fact, who else he brought out with him?
Mm-hmm.
Al Snow.
Ah.
Yeah, Al Snow was actually, I guess, in between, like he was helping him with his wrestling training too. Because, he did the pros and he did the amateurs. It's two different levels of training.
Good guy, Al Snow. But, yeah, and I think that was a perfect segue into the dark side of the ring for Brawl for All. Saw a lot of people complaining that this was in the Dark Side of the Ring, shouldn't have been in Dark Side of the Ring. I disagree. Not only was this a bad decision, but a lot of guys got hurt. A lot of guys' careers were cut short because of it. Not only because of injury, but just because of their aura, their character got ruined. And I gotta say, throughout this whole thing, I was Team Cornette, if you will. I think Cornette had a point throughout this whole thing. I think Jim Cornette takes wrestling seriously, and this really made Vince Russo look like he was just trying to be a reality show writer.
Yes, and I know that's like the running joke with Cornette. You know, he takes it seriously, takes it too seriously. Yes, he does, but I feel like, and I actually posted this earlier in the week, you got a better understanding of why he is the way he is. Because you have to figure this. Cornette is in his like early 50s right now, 51, 52, around there. He's been involved in the wrestling business in some shape, form, or fashion since he was a kid.
Right.
13, 14 years old. That means his entire adolescent life into his adult life, he's done nothing but wrestling. He has had no other job. To the best of my knowledge, he has no kids. Wrestling has been his life. His life. So basically, all of his interactions outside of his immediate family have been with these wrestlers. Mm-hmm. You develop friendships, you develop bonds. So of course you want to take it serious. When it's something that you've dedicated your entire life to, you made a living off of, you made friends, established relationships, of course you're going to take it seriously. And when somebody from that you perceive as an outsider comes in and they don't treat it with the same level of respect that you do, and it indirectly does harm to your business, because we can sit back and talk about how great the Attitude Era was, and we can look back, rose-colored glasses. A lot of the things, a lot of the staples that Vince Russo created, looking back, did a lot more harm than good. Like in the moment, they might have made a lot of money for the wrestling business, but when you look back on them, a lot of that shit don't age well. For every Stone Cold and Rock segment, you got fucking abortion segments. You got alleged abuse segments. You know, you got stuff that like crossed the line of not even decency, just good taste. You know, and it's like one of those deals where when you hear about, the whole reason for the Brawl for All was to prove a point to JBL.
Right.
To prove a point to Brett. That's about the dumbest goddamn thing I've ever heard in my life. Ooh, Bradshaw was talking shit in the locker room, and I wanted to prove him wrong. I wanted somebody to knock him out. Like seriously, bro. Like, come on. First off, that's a pussy move. Number one.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Russo ruined many careers just over a beef. Over the fact that he didn't like what someone said. He didn't like that someone acted like this. Do you not think that those guys could have fucking handled it themselves? I mean, look, listen. I get the concept. I get where Russo was coming from. Okay? I don't like where it came from. I'll put it that way, just to get that out of the way, that it came from, I thought he was a bully. Even if he was, that's not his deal. That's not his problem. I get the concept. Let's see who's the toughest. Let's see who really can fucking go out there and knock motherfuckers out. I get that. But these guys are not trained for that, number one. These guys never signed up for that, number two. And they're not boxers. They are not fucking boxers. I'm sorry, give me 1 second, Anthony. I don't give a fuck if JBL was back there bullying guys or saying he was the toughest motherfucker. You know who that's up to fucking figure out? Those guys. Not the fucking writer. Not the fucking guy that's just creating fucking storylines. No. No. Not your fucking job. And you ruined a lot of careers because of it. And I even saw people like, well, who really got hurt? No one that was fucking getting a push. Who the fuck cares? People got hurt. I mean, Dr. Death tore a fucking hamstring, and a year later he was gone.
Yeah, and his credibility was shot. And look, I'm glad you kind of brought that part of it up. I mean, you're right. A lot of these guys weren't trained, but because of the circumstances of the Brawl for All, basically it was like a shoot. It was a shoot situation where, okay, whoever legitimately wins this competition, you're going to go out there, you're really going to fuck around with each other, and you get a bonus. So you're basically, my whole issue with the Brawl for All is it takes away the core of what wrestling is supposed to be. It goes against the grain of how you're taught. You go in the ring, you work with the other guy, you both leave, hopefully, the same way you came in. A little banged up, a little bruised, but you're still able to go out and have a beer type of thing. Basically, you took guys out of their element and you created an environment where you're going to have a lot of bruised egos and a lot of hurt feelings because you have guys in there that are legitimate. You had Dan Severn, but he had the good sense to back out after the first match because he's like, no, I don't have anything to prove. I'm not going to sacrifice my reputation for this horse shit because it's clear as day if you go back and look at that Brawl for All, who has boxing experience like a Mark Merrill and who doesn't. Because a lot, it was just like a lot of sloppiness, a lot of sloppy punches. Guys that, quite frankly, look like they've never been in a legitimate fight that went over 2 minutes.
Right.
And then you have a guy like Steve Blackman, another legitimate badass.
Yeah, and
Mark Merrill, he's a boxer. Shamrock, they wanted Shamrock in this thing. He flat out refused because here was a guy, a UFC guy, legitimate guy. He had been with the company for about a year at this point. Mm-hmm. His whole thing was this. A, I don't have anything to prove because of my background. And B, it took him a long time to establish a good rapport with guys. Like in terms of a trust factor. Because of his background, he literally could go in the ring with anybody, almost like Kurt Angle was a few years later, and handle himself.
I'm gonna tell you
and not have to worry. Nobody was fucking with Ken Shamrock.
Yeah, but it
took him a while. Yeah, it took him a while to earn that trust. And he's not going to go into a situation where he has to revert back to what he was and eventually hurt that trust factor. So he just didn't want no parts of it.
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you something. If Shamrock was in there, every one of those guys would have been fucked. And I'm going to tell you why. Shamrock's got fucking hands, and he can throw them. I've seen him fight. I mean, he went hand-to-hand with Tito many fucking times. Tito might have beat him, but it was on the ground. It wasn't on the fucking standing up. Shamrock can fucking throw. He's got great fucking hands. I'm not gonna fucking bullshit. Those guys would have been in trouble. Butterbean might have been in fucking trouble against Shamrock. I got to tell you right now. Those guys should be lucky he wasn't in there. But I am so happy they got Butterbean on there. I am so happy. That was all I wanted to see with Butterbean.
Butterbean, good lord. Like, and honestly, and somebody kind of brought this up. And I kind of, in terms of Bart Gunn, like, they basically made Bart Gunn seem like a real sad coming out of this because I guess the name of the show was Dark Side of the Ring. But a lot of people don't know, even though his career in the States kind of died off after the Butterbean match, he did go on to have a successful career in Japan, like between All Japan and New Japan. But they didn't really get into that aspect because, once again, the name of the show was Dark Side of the Ring. So his wasn't his story didn't end tragically.
And he did make a point to say my career was over in the States.
And they cut it off. So you can clearly tell they didn't want some editing was done there. So I'm pretty sure he went on an extended explanation of what he was doing, but they said, no, that doesn't fit our narrative here.
Yeah.
See.
Yeah, go ahead, Smart.
Well, what I was going to say is I feel like he played his hand wrong based on what I had heard him say during the documentary. Was basically he won the tournament and then they had nothing planned for him, and then the theory is that they put him with Butterbean as a punishment for winning because he wasn't supposed to win.
Right.
And I feel like that's where he played his hand wrong. Is he said that he basically accepted the Butterbean fight because he was just sitting at home not doing anything anyway. If they're telling you they don't know how to use you and you're just sitting at home anyway, this is 1998, 1999. WCW is still a thing. You wait out your contract and then you jump ship there and you just have them sell you as the guy who is just like too tough, too badass for WWF. Like, he made their guys look like bitches. Like, you could literally spin that and run that as a narrative, and I think you could have made him maybe not like world champion, but like a solid mid-card.
Yeah, he could have been a better looking version of Tank Abbott, minus the charisma.
Wait, now hold on. How much charisma did Tank Abbott have?
I know.
I don't know.
Well, just that he was a fat guy dancing. Any fat guy can dance.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, I felt real. They did make Bart Gunn a really sad case here, but I felt bad for him because they had this plan for someone else. And this is the problem with doing shoot shit. This is where Vince Russo didn't plan ahead and say, hey, what if? They did everything they could. They changed matches. They put him against Dr. Death, and he knocked out.
No.
O-U-T. Knocked that motherfucker out. Steve Williams. Go ahead, Anthony.
Stop right there. Please
Okay.
Stop right there.
All right.
Because I remember one of my favorite parts of the documentary. I made a note of it because I wanted to bring it up specifically on the show. He said he was on the phone with like Bruce Pritchard or Vince or somebody, and he basically said, look, I know you guys are like basically the plan is y'all want Dr. Death to go over and this thing look good. And he basically is trying to work out a plan. Like he said, if you need me to take a dive, I got you. And they laughed him off. And then he goes into this story about, I was the kid in high school that got picked on and they knocked the books out of my hand. And then one day I found a gym and I got big and then I paid a visit to all those people. And then I guess he just had a flashback. And then, of course, the boys worked him up like, you're going to knock out Dr. Death, ha.
Yeah.
And then by the time he got in the ring, and again, I don't even think this was a slight on Dr. Death, but he had got wound up by the office, by the locker room, and to the point where I guess he said, Dr. Death, like, kid, easy, lighten up. And then, by that point, it was too late. He just he went in.
He said when the first time he knocked him out down, or took him down, sorry, not knocked him down, took him down, and Dr. Death went through the ropes. He went through the bottom rope and was hanging outside the ropes. He was like, oh, take it easy, kid. And Bart Gunn just didn't fucking do it. Listen, when you're in a fight like that, and they said it was shoot, and the fact that they were all saying, oh, we've got all the confidence in Dr. Death, all the confidence in Steve, all the confidence in Steve. They were telling the guy, there's no way you're going to win. There's no way you're going to win. You don't ever tell a fucking guy that, number one. And you don't ever, when it's legit, it takes one lucky fucking punch right to that button, and a guy goes down. I don't care. And if you watch Bart Gunn, he got a couple of those lucky shots in right where that fucking button was and knocked out a few people. So it takes one punch when it's legit to actually get a guy down. Even in UFC, it can take one. You can be losing the fucking match. You get that one lucky punch in, you come back, you got the guy knocked out. It's just, they chance too much. Vince Russo never gave the what if factor to anything. He just said, yeah, literally, his only thought was, I want Bradshaw to get his ass kicked. And if you didn't catch that throughout the episode, then you weren't really watching. That was the only thing he had in his head was, I want to see Bradshaw get his ass kicked. And he got more pissed off as Bradshaw was winning. If you didn't catch that. That's what I got from that was Vince Russo's fixation. Was Bradshaw.
And honestly, the funny thing about the ironic thing about this whole thing is the thing was set up to like teach Bradshaw a lesson and humble him. He went on to be a bully for another 10 years until he ran into Joey Takes No Shit Styles, like literally. So mission not accomplished, bro. Yep. So that makes it even more of a waste. In terms of the Bart Gunn thing, man, and I hate to do this because he's a favorite of mine, and he's a favorite of all of us. Maybe not Smart so much, but Jim Ross. Now, he was like, no, I'm only joking. I can't.
Ooh, JR, salty.
No, we got to talk about this one, because the long-standing belief has been that he kind of like he hyped up the legend of Dr. Death. Now, Dr. Death, God bless his soul, legitimate badass. So I'm not going to sit here and discount. But by this point, injuries, banged up. By the time he got to the WWF, he was not the Dr. Death of the late 80s, early 90s. He was banged up. He was older. He was banged up. So this was going to be his last big run. So do you guys believe that narrative that's been out there for years, that JR kind of ran his mouth a little bit too much? Because he basically flat out discounted that on his broadcast. And do you think that Jim Ross was one of the guys that had a role in setting Bart Gunn up to fail with that whole because Bart Gunn sure as hell I saw a shoot interview with him he's always believed that Jim Ross was a part of the plan to put him in the ring with Butterbean to make an ass out of him. Do you think Jim Ross has any culpability in any of this?
Ability, no. Did he know about it? Absolutely. Absolutely. I would never doubt he knew about it. Did he have anything to do with it? I would guess no. I think that's kind of a little conspiracy theory on Bart Gunn's, kind of for him, but I don't think so. I think he knew about it, but I mean, what can he do? What can he do about it? Not a goddamn thing. But I mean, putting him in the ring, like I said about Butterbean, I don't give a shit what shape that guy is in. The guy is a goddamn bruiser. He's a beast. He's got fast hands for a big guy.
And honestly, you know what he said though? He even gave Bart Gunn credit. He said if he had went at it like a brawl, like tried to take me down, he might have had it might have been 50-50. The minute he tried to stand up and actually box with me,
yes,
I knew it was over. I knew it was over.
Exactly. WWE made a big mistake putting Bart Gunn in boxing school. It was the worst thing they ever did. And he's right. It would have been better to brawl with a guy like Butterbean. He would have had a better chance at it. I 100% agree. But in my opinion, the dark side of this episode was watching to bring it to the dark side of the ring was seeing draws.
Yeah.
And that's what pissed me off about Russo even more, because even though Draws didn't get hurt here,
right,
just to have him like that bastard, just kind of like, it's wrestling, it's fake, and meanwhile you're doing a broadcast with a guy who got fucked up off of a basic ass move that he had done several times beforehand.
Yeah,
and I think that's where I can understand where I really related to Cornette's rage.
Mm-hmm. And
because he was on the verge of tears. I ain't even to cut you off, but he was on the verge of tears talking about Drives.
Yeah, and D'Lo, the fact that he carries that burden every day, I feel bad for him because I mean they did a simple move, a power bomb, and according to Draws, it wasn't when he landed, it was when D'Lo picked him up. So, and he said it right in this documentary. So I don't know what happened. D'Lo doesn't know. No one knows what happened, but the fact that Draws is able to forgive him, awesome. But the fact that D'Lo has to literally live with that every day is pretty shitty.
And the fact that Draws is still, I mean, look, honestly, and I say this with all sincerity, if you have full function of all of your limbs and all that shit, just be grateful. Like, here's a guy, Draws will never be able to walk another day in his life. But ever since he's like the most positive person I've ever seen. If there's a person on the face of the planet that has a right to be miserable and bitter about life, about the wrestling business, it's that dude right there. But I defy you. Anytime he's, in public, done interview, anything, he's always in the best of spirits.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And you know how you can tell. Usually when people are, get like that, they get skinny, they don't eat, they look like shit. He's heavy. Not I'm not saying he's fat, but he's heavy. He looks doesn't look great, but you can tell he's still trying to get out there and enjoy every little thing he can do while he can do it, man. So that was a great part of it for me. But go ahead, Smart.
No, I would say, like, he was even in the documentary, he was willing to, like, kind of laugh at himself.
Right.
Because I forget the exact words, but he used, like, something along the lines of, yeah, I'm still alive and kicking. Well, I don't do much kicking anymore. And It's like, you are a better man than I, because I would have been a miserable prick if I was in your position.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's got, a lot of, I'm sure there's some animosity built up there towards D'Lo, but the fact that he said a ton of times, I forgave D'Lo is just, that tells you what kind of guy Draws was, and is going to be. So that's fucking good shit, man.
I definitely, I don't know if he really does have animosity. I guess there has to be at least a little bit, but like, it really did kind of seemed sincere, like that he didn't hold any grudges against him, and it also unfortunately seemed very sincere that D'Lo hasn't been able to forget about it or forgive himself for it, because he seemed like even and it didn't seem like it was one of those like phony, I'm on TV so I better start pretending to cry things. It looked like he was the kind of person that still like doesn't get a lot of sleep over that shit.
Yeah,
and like, I have not heard anybody say a bad word about D'Lo, including Draws. No. So it's like, he seems like he's a really nice guy, and it seems like it's a really shitty situation for both of them to have had to have been in.
Yeah.
To add a little bit of levity, though, my favorite part of the show was they were talking to Godfather about his match, because his first fight was against Dan Severn. And he's like, man, I'm sitting here, I'm a pretty tough guy, but I'm about to go out against a UFC fighter. So I'm outside getting high with some girls, smoking a joint with some girls. It's just like, all right, let's go do this.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, he's like, he is just so fucking great. And then they talked about he ended up advancing because Severn pulled out, and then he had to fight. He had to fight Bart Gunn. He was like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have gotten high before I fought Bart Gunn.
Man, I don't.
I was in the bag. I was smoking, hanging out with some white women, and that was it.
And again, if you watch that fight, Bart Gunn just threw that lucky fucking button punch, man, and knocked him the fuck out, dude. If you can hit that fucking button hard enough, you got it. And I don't know how he knew that spot, but he knew it. And he was hitting motherfuckers in it. So, I don't know, man. But, I mean, there was that. But another thing, Vince Russo, once again, didn't really see the damage he had done until the end of the show. Of course, the end of the show. And it was the fact, and the match he was watching that he was actually getting a little teary-eyed over bullshit was the Bart Gunn Bradshaw match. And he's like, oh, I don't really need to see anyone getting hit like that.
No, I'm sorry. You say he looked like he was teary-eyed. It looked like he was smirking at me. 20 plus years later, like he still got a laugh out of JBL getting rocked.
Yeah, crocodile tears. But once again, this was over a one little statement that one guy made. And listen, a lot of fucking guys got hurt. I don't care if they were getting pushed Savio Vega got hurt. Steve Williams got hurt. I don't care if they were getting pushed or not. They got hurt. Legit hurt. I think this was one of their worst decisions. And then Butterbean, dude, that hit, watch that knockout one more time.
His head turned, bro.
My kid said, Daddy, I heard you killed someone. Butterbean said, no, it just looked like that.
Just looked like I killed the man.
Exactly. That quote right there.
And I totally believe him, but it's just, it always fascinates me when somebody is like that good, that in control of what they're doing. Because he was running down the fight, and he said that he hit him with one that he knew would drop him. And then he said he just hoped that he wouldn't get back up. And then he said as soon as he saw him get back up, he just went ahead and just ended it quick. And like, I have seen And I totally believe him. I know it just sounds like just over, like bombast, being overly cocky, just whatever. But if you ever watch any of those like Boss Rutan videos, if you just like watch Boss Rutan and Pancrase, he'll narrate where he's just like, yeah, this guy was pissing me off, so I hit him really hard in the liver and night. I wanted to end this fight. It's just like, I love like people that are so good that they're so in control that they just know when they're about to end a fight.
Yeah, he called the shot. That was awesome. Now, Smart, let me ask you something.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was. Do you remember in the Brawl for All where Bart and Bob Holly ended up facing each other?
Well, I know him as Bodacious Bob.
Oh, that's what it was. I thought he was bombastic.
Bombastic Bart, maybe? I think I might have them mixed around. I don't know.
But anyway,
but yeah.
I guess at one point, because I guess, the whole Brawl for All was apparently at random. Savio Vega had a bag. He pulled the names out of a hat, and that's how they came up with who fought who. Now, clearly, Bart Gunn didn't believe, and he took umbrage with this. He said, that's kind of bullshit. That was bullshit. Basically, he was like, we're partners. We're on the road. They knew what the fuck they were doing. Do you think it was rigged that deeply for him? Or do you think it was just coincidence that they ended up facing each other?
I mean, if they're drawing names out of a hat, I would tend to believe that if that's what they ended up with, they might have. I could believe that everyone else wasn't just random, but I could believe that they did that intentionally.
You back, Box?
Yes, I am, and I'm seeing Weeb's comment here that Box fears Baron Corbin would win Brawl for All too. No. Let me say one thing. I fear no man, one woman, my wife. But that's.
I'm going to ask you the same thing that I just asked Smart.
Uh-oh.
No. It's an easy one.
B.
Softball.
Is the answer B?
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Okay.
Because I'm talking about Bart. So that's what it is. So no, at one point, and I don't know if you remember this verbatim, but remember they talked about how in the tournament Bart ended up facing Bob Holly, who was tag team with at the time.
Uh-huh.
And if you remember, the whole premise of the Brawl for All was set up through random drawings. Like, apparently Savio Vega had a bag in Bruce Pritchard's office, and basically Bart called bullshit, because he said, this is my partner, we're up and down the road.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to go, and he I don't want to fight my partner. And then he said, I know how he is. Then I had to start hitting him, and then it's it created a little bit of tension on them because at the time they were sharing hotel rooms together. He said they had to work together the next couple nights. So do you think that was coincidental, or do you think the office got cute and wanted to see those guys fight each other?
I think you set it up.
So you believe Bart in that situation that
there was
manipulated that?
There was something that I don't remember if it was Vince or Cornette, but I think it was Vince Russo that said, we can make this the way we want as long as we can play with the matches.
Yeah, because they did change the brackets for the next round after
Yes, and I 100% believe that was set up. And I think that was the original message to Bart Gunn. I think that was the message, you better not do what you're doing. I don't know.
So basically they were setting them up before Butterbean. So damn, this is like they Tarantino the hell out of that dude.
I really think they did. I think there's a lot we're missing to this story. I would love to really fucking hear the real. I mean, I know we're getting a little deep into this, but I think
it's very fascinating. And I feel like I said, for as much venomous, for as much anger, rightfully so in a lot of cases, that's being directed towards Vince Russo for coming up with the idea, how much of this should fall on Vince's lap too? Because at the end of the day, it's his company. At any point, he could have just said, you know what, this isn't working, cut it off. Because Jim Ross basically said after week one, he knew it was shit. And he dreaded calling it shit. And I remember this very, very clearly. This literally was the entire summer of '98, that Brawl for All. This was 2 months.
Yeah.
This was 2 months of Raw. And literally, at the time, I can't say I was looking forward to it. It was almost like channel change material. Because it was out of the element. it took you so far out of the element of what wrestling was.
Yeah.
And you're seeing guys, you like I said, you knew the finesse guys. And you knew the guys who had, like I said, brawl fighters. Just because, like I said, God bless Road Warrior Hall. He might be a hell of a bar fighter, but in terms of finesse, Henry Godwin was in there, looked like he was about to pass out after about 2 punches. like literally, you could tell the guys who were used to like just wham bar fighters and guys that were finesse. Even a lot of people think that Mark Merrill was set up in the match. He was set up to look like an asshole.
No, he again a lucky punch, dude, knocked him out.
You think that lucky punch?
Mm-hmm. For Miro, yeah. Wasn't set up. Man, I was just thinking of something that JR said, and I totally lost it. Damn it! I'll think of it.
What do you think of it?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Smart.
This doesn't necessarily concern the documentary as a whole, but since we are talking about the Brawl for All, I would like to invite everyone here to just kind of go back in time a little bit, go back to 98, throw on your Gen Code jeans, go ahead and tape up your Jennifer Aniston poster, get your trial disc for America Online ready. At the time, try to disregard what we know now, but at the time, while you were watching it, did you think what you were seeing was real? Because at the time, this was 98, summer of 98, so I was 7. I thought all this shit was real, but then I also thought that watching it, I thought that it was fucking boring and that it sucked because it was like, I wanted to watch wrestling and I was watching people box, and as a 7-year-old kid, I fucking hated boxing. And it was like the sloppiest, worst possible boxing I could see. So that made it worse. But like I said, at the time, while you were watching it, not knowing what we know now, did you think it was real?
My answer will be quick, Anthony, and then you can get into it. I have to be honest. I didn't watch it live. I didn't watch it till years down the road. Years. Like, maybe only 6 or 7 years ago, I watched Brawl.
Oh, so basically, you looked at that's actually interesting because you probably were looking at it with a more sophisticated eye.
I knew what was going on at that point. But
you
yeah,
probably thought it was sloppy.
Yeah, I did not see it live. So, and speaking of sloppy, Bradshaw can't throw a real punch. I noticed that. I did want to point that out. He was in there with the people that knew what they were doing, like a Mark Merrill. He was kind of outclassed. Yeah,
he was just going in there like a bully, trying to overpower him. And it's like, no, there's levels to this shit, especially when it comes to boxing.
Yeah. But I did not watch that live. I took a few breaks here and there for wrestling, and then came back, and then break, and then came back. So, but did not watch that live. Didn't watch it till, like I said, probably 6-7 years ago is when I first actually obtained it and watched it. I almost said downloaded, but I did. So there you go.
I think I probably was maybe 13, 14, somewhere around there. I just remember thinking it was super boring. Because like I said, because I was never really big on boxing except for like certain guys. But I just remember like looking at it thinking like, A, give me wrestling, and B, this is fighting badly. Because like even though I didn't have a concept of MMA and all that kind of shit, I could just tell a lot of guys didn't know what the fuck they were doing. And that's another reason why this concept of the Brawl for All was a bad idea.
Yeah.
Because it exposed a lot of people.
Definitely.
It exposed, like I said, we're all grown ass men here, grown ass adults to steal a phrase. But so we know what the deal is with wrestling. But it's still all about perception. All about the perception of these are, larger than life guys. These are guys that can handle themselves. You looked at a guy like Bradshaw box. Now, I'm not saying you could take Bradshaw in a bar fight, but what I'm saying is when you can pick up on things about, he doesn't know how to throw a punch. It kind of, like I said, it makes guys look bad unnecessarily. Guys that you're expecting to draw money for you on some level. That's why I feel like I'm wondering why Vince must have just got Vince McMahon. I'm talking about. He must have just got a sick fetish watching these guys just legitimately beat the fuck out of each other for money. Because why wouldn't he step in and say, like, this is not a good look for me?
Well,
this is not a good look for my roster.
Russo said one thing: if Vince could have stopped it at any time, but he didn't. He just never did. He was enjoying it. It was entertainment to Vince. That's what it was. Oh, I remember what I wanted to talk about JR when he was talking about draws. They were talking about puke. And JR flat out said, if you've got a skit about puke or poop or vomit or farting, Vince is going to listen to it, and he's probably going to put it through. He's just that kind of guy. That's comedy to Vince.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but, yeah, man. Look, this, I know they didn't get deep into this, and I know there's more to this story, but I think this was more of I think they were trying to get more into the story of why Cornette hates Russo.
Yeah, and also I feel like they wanted to look into it from almost like a human interest standpoint. Like basically these are guys that signed up for basically performance art. And you're asking them to all of a sudden go from protect each other, don't hurt each other, to hit each other for real.
I think we're going for season 3, Dark Side of the Ring of Vince Russo versus Jim Cornette.
And I guess kind of like, man, I don't know if do you still have that clip box that I sent you yesterday?
Oh shit, I do actually. Give me 1 second.
The rage. I mean, look, I know we kind of laugh and high.
Whoa, hold on. Sorry about that, guys.
But man, I really felt his anger.
Yeah,
literally.
All right.
In that moment, he always jokes about killing Russo. I really felt it in that moment. I could kill. Literally, if they were in the look, I don't believe there are too many people that Jim Cornette could beat the fuck out of. But I believe if you put him and Russo in the room, he would do his damnedest. He wouldn't go down. He wouldn't go down easily. He would go down swinging.
Yeah, and it's only a 36-second clip. So here we go.
Russo walking down the hallway. I said, "Are you happy? You just cost the company $5 million in one night." And he looked at me and went, "What are you talking about?" I said, "You idiot. Dr. Death Steve Williams just got beat on live television in front of everybody. What difference is now? Bart Gunn's going to be a star now." I said, "I want to kill you. I would like to just squeeze you until your britches are full and your eyeballs pop out."
Dr. Death, I'm sure we could have done a lot with him, but it's not like he was coming in at his peak or his prime or on his way up. It's probably fair to say his best years in wrestling were behind him.
Can we just stop there for a minute? I don't mean this as any disrespect to Bart Gunn, but when Russo with a straight face said, but Bart Gunn's going to be a star. That right there should tell you right there in a nutshell that he knows jack shit about wrestling. And Cornette even made it a point on the show to say, like, no disrespect to Bart Gunn, but here was a guy who had been, like, basically buried underneath a box of rocks for years upon years. He had been treated as an afterthought. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, you're going to go from mid to lower card guy to try selling that on Steve Austin. Try selling Bart Gunn on Steve Austin is a good idea. Hey, Steve, we're going to... Steve, you're going to make some money with this one. Who you got for me? Who you got for me, Vince? Bart Gunn. The fuck out of here. Look, Steve Austin would have quit on the spot. Like, come on, man. Like,
Yeah, but, I mean, this once again just proves that Russo sees the business, wrestling business, and again, I'm not in the business, but he sees the wrestling business as one thing. Jim Cornette passionately sees it as another, and they're never going to agree. They're never going to agree on anything that has to do with the wrestling business because it's just totally different. Jim Cornette is that old school. He sees wrestling as what he grew up on, what he was taught, what he knows, and Vince Russo was a lucky magazine writer that became a writer. I mean, he literally. Well, exactly. He's just Vic Venom. He's just a lucky guy. He got lucky. Right place, right time. I honestly feel that way. Right place, right time.
He was like you. I mean, he grew up. Look, he grew up a wrestling fan. But if I had to guess, Box, he kind of like maybe was like kind of like you. He dipped in and out. Mm-hmm. He knew like a core group of guys, like the big guys, the big names, but he didn't really pay attention to the nuances of why they were over. He looks at things from almost like he looks at it like a television writer. Mm-hmm. He does it like, to me, he looks at it from like a character standpoint, which is important because guys do have to have a character, something that you can relate to. But he treats the wrestling secondary like the matches don't mean shit, and that's I feel like that's the crux of why Cornette can't stand them, because it's just like dipshit. The rest characters are important, I give you that, but the matches are the reason that these guys exist. If you make the matches meaningless, then what the fuck are they coming to work for?
Yeah, I gotta say, in that clip we just played, I'm smart. I'll jump to you in a second. In that clip we just played, I totally understand where Russo is coming from. Or I'm sorry, Cornette is coming from. They literally, they said in the video, within less than a year, he was gone. He did cost the company fucking money. Absolutely, he did.
And he gets lost in this too, because look, that was probably realistically going to be his last big money run.
Yep.
I mean, I know he wrestled after that. He wrestled on the Indies. He wrestled back in Japan. So I'm sure his career ended for him on a relatively good note. But in terms of the States, he never really had like that big main event level run. Mm-hmm. This was his only opportunity. Literally, he was gone less than a year later. He had a very forgettable run in WCW, mid to late 99, that went nowhere. And then it was basically, that was it for Dr. Death on a national level. And it started with this horse shit. They would have been better off just bringing him in completely independent of this, building him up for a Steve Austin feud, and then just going from there.
Yeah, and that's where they were going. But I'm totally with Cornette on, I would say, 99% of what happened on this video. I think Cornette was right. I think Cornette has a very, like I said, passionate idea of what he thinks wrestling is. And at that time, that was Cornette's kind of wrestling. And they were in sort of a mix right there. But man, Russo just didn't see the problem with it. Who cares? What the fuck? Oh, if you guys got hurt. Jesus Christ.
And honestly, I hate to plug it, but I needed something to go to sleep because I had real bad insomnia. So Russo did like a little follow-up thing to this on YouTube that I shared with you guys. And he basically got in. I didn't watch the whole thing. I caught like snippets of it. And he basically said like, knowing what we know now about CTE, that's the only thing that he regrets about it. But he said, but he basically, even still to this day, he writes off the injuries. Like, if you tell me somebody like tore a quad or twisted an ankle, these guys are wrestlers. Don't come to me with those injuries. He said the only thing he regrets is knowing what we know today about like brain injuries and CTE. That part he regrets, but he doesn't regret any of the injuries. Which, dude, that to me is like, oh, they're wrestlers, so it doesn't matter if they tear a quad or twist. Motherfucker, you put these people in the position. Mm-hmm. like literally, like no sense of remorse, no sense of like nothing, like literally, no sense of like, yeah, I fucked up. That was a bad idea.
No,
he's gonna go to his grave never truly understanding the damage that he's done to the wrestling business. Even when he was arguably at his peak during this era, he was doing damage to the wrestling business.
Didn't care. He wanted Jerry Springer. He said we were sitting there writing the show with Jerry Springer on in the background. So there you go. Smart, go ahead, and then we'll jump into the last little thing that I believe we need to talk about. Go ahead, Smart.
Okay. Now for the the Benoit episode that they did, it was like kind of, I can't think of a better term, but like sort of a surprise reveal at the end that they were all kind of together when they were given their interviews, because you see Benoit's son hugging Nancy's sister and everything, and then you see like Chavo's there and Jericho's there, and everybody's like consoling each other. Now, how after we played that clip of Russo shitting on Dr. Death, how great would it be if they also use that as a surprise reveal that everybody was cutting interviews at the same time in the same room? If after you hear like, Dr. Death's best years are behind him, you just see JR just jump over a table and fucking tackle Russo, just start working him over with punches. Like, to that point though, like they did talk about a lot about how they lost like a surefire star. I don't know. Like I said, I was watching this as a kid, so when I was seeing Dr. Death in WWF, I was a kid, but he never really struck me as somebody that was like super charismatic. And that was a time when charisma meant almost everything. I just don't know for sure if him just being a legit badass tough guy, if that role, especially when you already had Ken Shamrock, if that role would have meant that he would have been a bona fide star moving forward. Like, I just don't think he had enough charisma about him to be able to be a legitimate player for years to come, like they seem to have believed that he was capable of.
And unfortunately, we'll never know.
I mean, yeah, in terms of that, I'll just say to that point, just maybe not like a star for like the long term, but I think they could have got one or two off brand pay-per-views out of it with him against Austin. It's just like, you do like Brock, you do Steve Austin versus Dr. Death, Battle of the Steeds at No Mercy. Like they could have got like one or two pay-per-views out of that. Just based off that, the BMF, the bad motherfucker, and Steve Austin against Dr. Death. You know what I mean? Like they could have got a couple pay-per-views out of that.
Yeah, they probably would have. But in my opinion, though, another well done Dark Side of the Ring. I like these. The next one is what's the next one, guys?
Jimmy Snuka.
Snuka. I'm not sure if I'm going to waste my time on that one.
No, come on. We got there's a lot of meat on that bone. Even though we've heard the story before, just to come on, dude. Like, here's a little preview for you. Picture this. You know how they do the reenactments? Mm-hmm. Just imagine a reenactment of Vince McMahon walking up with a Halliburton full of cash and out of control Jimmy Snuka. Snuka, when you go in there, you don't speak English, you don't know nothing. You're all over the place, brother.
Yeah.
You're talking crazy. Like, come on, just picture. Look, dude, I would have done anything to be a fly on the wall when you got Jimmy Snuka getting interrogated with Vince McMahon right next to him with the Halliburton with the money in it, and they're asking him questions and brother. All
right, I'll watch it. But I guess the last thing we got to get into, guys, is the revival. Finally.
I wish we had made a bet box.
I just
made a bet.
I just wasn't buying it when like Ringside News was putting it out and all that shit. I knew they were looking to get out. They have finally been let out of their contract. They have finally been released from WWE.
The pettiness of this, like, seriously.
Oh my
I love
God.
it. I love it.
Now,
these dudes have been begging to get out of this contract for like 6 months.
Yep.
They could have been released at any point. The fact that Vince chose this specific time to say, you have an I'm going to grant you guys an unconditional release. The best of luck in your future endeavors at a time when you know more than likely they're not going to get hired right away. Well, that's fucking fantastic. I aspire to this level of pettiness.
They could go to 8, and they did. I didn't read that they got a unconditional. I believe they still have 90 days.
I must have read a different article. So they do still have 90 days?
I don't know, but I didn't read that they had unconditional. If your contract expires like Matt Hardy's did, that's a different story. But if you're still under contract and get released, I believe you still have that 90-day non-compete. We'll see. I don't know. But AEW seems to not really care right now if there's a crowd or not, they're still doing what they need to do. Meanwhile, they have stopped
I'll be honest,
filming.
Like, you think they would be a better fit for like the NWA, just based off their style?
It could be, but they're not. But they're not filming right now either.
Yeah, and I don't know, man. And here's the thing, and I don't mean any disrespect. I mean, Revival, they're fantastic wrestlers, all right. But my whole thing is with AEW. I know before anybody tells me, I know AEW has plenty of money behind them. But I still don't think if I'm Tony Khan, I'm going to be in a rush to sign anybody right now until I know what the fuck is going on with this COVID-19. You don't know how long the situation is going to last, which means basically everybody that you have under contract now is that money's coming out of your pocket, coming out of your family's pocket, and no new money is being made. So do you really want to sign guys that are unproven as of this moment as being legitimate draws out of your pocket based off of maybe we'll be out of this thing in a couple months? Maybe we'll be able to start bringing people into the arenas, a month from now, 2 months from now. You don't know.
Yeah, and
so that's why I'm sorry, Bob.
No, I'm just saying, according to Antox, there is no 90-day non-compete. So, but I'm with you, man. I wouldn't be signing anyone right now until I know what's going on. And another tag team, when your tag team division is kind of not bad right now. So, I don't know, man. NWA might be the better place for them at this point until they can get somewhere else. But right now, NWA, they're not doing anything either.
Yeah, that's my opinion. Like I said, they're talented guys. I'm happy that they finally got what they wanted with their release and all that. And believe it or not, I'm actually surprised because I was telling Smart off air that the Edge documentary that they did, excellent. And towards the end, a big part of that documentary was Dash Wilder. So apparently, Edge deserves the credit for discovering this guy. So when he moved down to Asheville, he had went to a Gold's Gym. Apparently, Dash was a trainer there. And he was also a wrestler, but he never mentioned it to Edge. He just kind of like was his trainer. Like he worked out. And then when Edge found out, he basically went to him like, dude, why didn't you tell me? And that's kind of what made Edge a fan of the guy because he didn't try to look for an end. He didn't try to use him to get a job or anything.
Right.
And they kind of became friends. And then when he found out he was a wrestler, he basically got a copy of a tape, passed it off to Johnny Ace, and the rest is history. So I thought, like, coming out of that, at the very least, the team will get some type of push, and then a couple of days later, he get his walking papers. Oh. But I mean, they're talented guys. But I'm just like, do you think that this is going to because obviously with everything going on, I feel like WWE's we're about to see another bus flip. I really do because money's about to be slowing up, so they're going to start to release a lot of guys. Do you think that this is where AEW might potentially come across as TNA 2.0? Starting to sign everybody? Do you think they're going to be a little more selective?
They better be more selective, and they better be careful. They better be careful. Smart, what do you think?
I mean, I may get crucified for saying this, but I don't really think that they need them. Because I feel like you almost have to go down the roster pretty far to find a tag team that they're better than. And I know that sounds crazy, but if you just look at overall ability, wrestling ability, and charisma, I don't think that they're better than Lucha Brothers. I don't think that they're better than Santana Ortiz. I feel like you have to keep going. They're not better wrestlers, I don't believe, than Omega and Page are, but more so Omega, but he's in the team, Page is in the team with him, so lump them together. Right. But I mean, that's 3 teams that are overall in some form or fashion better than them, in my opinion. So I don't really think that you need them. Yeah, they're great technical wrestlers, but what are they in terms of characters? There's no real character. I have never really heard them cut a promo that made me go, oh, fuck yeah, I need to see their match now. like they're not great talkers. They don't really have gimmicks. Their whole thing is that, oh, we're really good wrestlers. So are a lot of people now. What else do you bring to the table?
Yeah.
But I mean, it is what it is. Like apparently, I mean, there's a lot of people within the company, because I was seeing a lot of tweets. There was a lot of people who were really upset, wrestlers, that they were given their walking papers. So they clearly have the ability to connect with their coworkers. So clearly there's some kind of personality or charm there that we're just not seeing. But I just, again, haven't seen it. It just hasn't been on display. Well, so I don't think being just a good wrestler, just good wrestlers is going to cut it right now. I would say maybe more than anything, like maybe New Japan, because New Japan kind of has a short list of credible tag teams right now. But
I'll put it to you like this. I'm sorry, Smile, just real quick. Like if I put it to you like this: if they go to AEW, right? Let's just say like they get signed by AEW tomorrow. They're under contract. The only money match that people want to see out of those two in AEW is the Young Bucks, the Elite guys. After that, it's pretty much all downhill. I know you got the Lucha Brothers, you got the Best Friends, you got Santana and Ortiz. They have a lot of tag teams to work with, but the money match is the Elite guys. Once you get that match out of the way, they're just two guys on a roster. I'm sorry. Once you get past that, it's just like, then what? So they be better off, honestly, being like the traveling badass tag team. Like, get yourself a gravy deal with New Japan, and just in between Japan, NWA, AEW, and just kind of like travel from like company to company. Don't stay one place too long, and then like keep it moving. I feel like that's their best bet, because I feel like if they stay one place. If they stay one place too long, they're just going to get overly exposed as being just good wrestlers, but not much else.
Maybe they're not that talented because they were in WWE. I wouldn't mind seeing a match on NWA or somewhere else real quick before they go somewhere else, just to see what they can do outside of WWE. Because we all know people leave there and they show a different side, right? Wouldn't be a bad thing to see what these guys can do outside of WWE before a company like AEW signed them or something. So maybe they will go to some small place when they can. I mean, I know places aren't doing anything right now, but when they can, I don't know. I guess we'll just have to wait and see, but I totally agree with Smark. The AEW's tag team division doesn't need help right now. And they certainly don't need two guys from WWE to just jump in and take a spot. They don't need it. So These guys could have made a great decision. But, I mean, they've been begging to get out of these contracts. So as far as the WWE talent being upset about it, why? They've been begging for it. They finally got it. Be happy for them because they finally got what they wanted.
And I'll be honest, I'll laugh my ass off because some of those numbers that came out, WWE were offering them like $500,000, 6, 7, 8 figures, which, look, all due respect, they weren't worth that fucking money. They weren't. I don't give a fuck how well they throw a German suplex. Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson are not worth $500,000 plus a year, 5 years. Fuck that. But I do think it'll be funny. I'll find it hilarious if they go to like an AEW and get offered a quarter of that, because to me, that's kind of what they're worth right now. I would say I wouldn't go any higher than like $250K. 250, $300K a year max.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you to start, and then you go from there. But I don't know, man. I'm listen. I'm happy for the guys. They've been begging to get out of their contracts. They finally did. I'm happy for them, and I'm curious to see what happens. And I'm curious to see how they are outside of a WWE ring. And I guess we'll just fucking have to wait and see what happens, where they go, and we'll go from there. I don't know what else to say.
Smart, you got anything?
Yeah, I mean, it pretty much covers it. Obviously, like we said, they're talented performers, but it would be interesting to see, like, is it a matter of they're not given an opportunity to show what they have to offer character-wise, personality-wise, or is it just nothing there? So hopefully we'll be able to find out in the near future.
No, we don't have to go into depth in this until Wednesday, but I just want to put this out there just for a laugh to show you how much of a fuck WWE and Vince McMahon truly don't care about people's issues. Mm-hmm. So you guys know about the XFL getting shut down, right? Mm-hmm. So a guy by the name of Connor Falk put out this tweet earlier today, and I just thought it was priceless. The hashtag XFL has suspended its day-to-day operations effective immediately, and all team and league employees have been terminated. The statement was read to the employees through a conference call by league president Jeffrey Pollard. No questions were taken. Call lasted all of 10 minutes. Damn.
Snake bitten, dude. The XFL is snake bitten, dude. And we will.
People are like, oh, yay. And I just, all I wanted to say on that is, people like celebrating, like, yeah, Vince got what he deserved, blah, blah, blah. Like, just take a step back for a minute. Take the fucking Vince McMahon hatred away, out of your vocabulary for a second. Real people are out of work right now. There were a lot of people that relied on that XFL paycheck coming in, and they were like 5-6 weeks into it. So it was too early to deem it a failure. I know the crowds, the live attendance was kind of falling off, but by all accounts, just if you follow it online, the people that were actually watching the games were saying it was leaps and bounds better than the first time around because they were focused more on the football aspect. There was no wrestling aspect. There was no WWE. WWE didn't have his fingerprints on it.
No.
Like, in other words, if Vince wasn't doing press conferences and shit, you would think that this was his own independent football league.
Yeah, but a lot of those guys probably had in their contract to where they get paid out. Well, we'll see what happens, but we'll get into it more Wednesday. I hope there's more information we can get into by then. But yes, it's fucked up, and man, XFL, what a snake-bitten fucking 3 letters those are.
I will say in all sincerity, and like you said, we will get into this later, for what it actually was pretty enjoyable. And it was, like, they were just starting to hit their stride, in my opinion, because, like, this is the case with the NFL. The first half of the season and the last half of the season are kind of not so great because you have players that aren't necessarily in, like, playing shape, or they don't have the chemistry with their new play calling system and their teammates and all that, what have you. There's a lot of hurdles to get to in the first half of the season, and then in the last half of the season, everybody's so banged up. But you start getting to, once you get into like the week 8, week 9, that kind of thing, that's sometimes when you get your best football because people are still healthy, but, everybody's in great shape and everybody's, got their flow going. So it was like, I think they're only in their 6th week, maybe 7th week, when all this started happening and they pulled the plug on it. So it does kind of suck because, like, yeah, it didn't have super big star power. There's a lack of talent at quarterback, but by and large, people were enjoying it.
Yeah, they were getting fine ratings. They weren't doing that bad. So, and I was hearing good things. So, I don't know. I guess we'll see. But get into that a little more on Wednesday. Guys, I got nothing else. I'm good to go. What about you?
We hit all the basics. We hit all the high points. Highs and the lows.
Definitely. And once again, everybody who fucking hung with us, we really appreciate it. I know we started late, had a few technical issues. I will get that fixed tomorrow. We won't have any more technical issues after that. Honestly, I don't even feel like doing plugs. But everyone who was listening live, I really, really appreciate you guys hanging with us all night. That's fucking big. That's fucking big. That means a lot to me, and I'm sure it means a lot to these guys over here.
Hell yeah.
There you go. And Anthony Smart, appreciate you guys hanging too, because I know you guys were like, are we doing the show tonight? So we got it. We got it, though. We got it done. And that's it, man. Definitely appreciate it, guys. Appreciate everyone in the chat room, everyone who downloads. And there we go. What else? Anything?
Movie show Sunday?
Yeah.
I'm down if you guys are down.
Yeah. Thinking about maybe doing a movie mistakes episode. What do you guys think about that?
We can either do that or I don't know, Box. I don't know.
Easter movie?
How lucky you're feeling. We could do something terrible. We could review the Big Show. Jaleel White and Paul White sharing the screen together.
Oh,
it feels like comedy gold.
So, movie mistakes probably Sunday night, and we will definitely we'll see you guys Sunday night. And that's it, guys. We'll see you. Take care. Thanks again. And that's it. See ya.
Peace.
Peace.